Welcome in, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well this evening. We are going to be playing a game that I have been actually looking forward to playing for a little while. It's called The Vampire Therapist. And I thought it was very fitting, considering I'm studying to become a therapist. I see Renfield, I see Frozen is in here with us. Welcome in, everyone. You are early. So I don't know how much we'll get through in this first stream, but I'm sure it's going to take a couple of episodes to get through everything. Just because I'm probably going to end up talking a lot and, sharing my perspective on things. Wait, why am I awake at 2:42 a.m.? Go to bed. Go to sleep. That's way too early to be up unless you're working the night shift. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. How about Mommy reads you a story and plays Vampire Therapist and maybe helps you get to sleep? Deal? So yeah, unfortunately we're not also streaming on Kick today. Normally I like to do that just to kind of spread my streaming stuff around, but due to limitations with how far I can shrink the game down, it just makes it really hard to see everything I need to see, so it is what it is today. I think that's fine. Although I need to make sure, stuff on the YouTube side is still doing things. Did it show me a thing? Yay! Only if I can give you head pats and a chicken sandwich. That's fine. Go for it. Deal? Yes. That sounds like a deal to me. So the music we have in the background right now is actually from the game itself. So it's pretty... I like it already. It's very much a vibe. I'm doing alright. I had a little bit of stomach trouble again last night, so it's like, what is going on? So, and that's kind of annoying and a little bit distressing, but someone advised that I get on some enzymes and all that stuff, so maybe that will help. I hope it will. Alright. Well, I think we can probably get shifted over to the game now, because I'm really eager to sink my teeth into it, pun intended, fully. Plus, I just want to see how this goes and get through a little bit of it. Yay, okay, that's still working. Woohoo! We don't have to do a bunch of readjustment. Okay, so, as you can see, there is some DLC to do with couples therapy. We will get into that. As with real counseling, couples therapy is a whole separate monster. So, we will deal with that when we finish whatever the main game is. And I'm sure we'll get a notice about this in the game, but one of the things that I found incredibly interesting was that this game actually had input from actual mental health therapists. So I think that really adds a level of authenticity to it, as opposed to let's make a game and assume we know what therapy is. So let's go ahead and start a new game. Okay, so it does have this good warning here, which I like. It says Vampire Therapist explores or touches on sensitive topics such as war, abuse, addiction, sexual oppression, suicidal ideation, religion, and of course death. These may be uncomfortable or upsetting for some readers. We recommend that any readers with a history of trauma related to any of these topics approach the game with caution. Have I played Slay the Princess? Not yet. Hey, the Vampire Therapist is playing the Vampire Therapist. Yes. Naturally, a game about vampires will also involve blood and sexual themes. Strong language is also present. Vampire Therapist was developed in consultation with licensed therapists, but should not be considered a substitute for therapy, unless you're a vampire. Okay.
My name is Sam Walls, and I'm a dead man.
Wow.
Well, kinda dead at least. See, I'm a vampire.
Can you all hear that okay?
All that Dracula hooey, like hissing, wearing skin-tight leather, and hunting mortals for sport? I wouldn't blame you one bit.
Nice.
That's exactly the sort of thing I did in my younger years.
Oh, okay, hold on. No, pause.
Who's good with a gun can be a real terror. I got lucky, though. I met some kind mortals who saw beyond my fangs. They taught me my letters and showed me how my thinking was keeping me from finding any kind of peace.
Love the southern accent, I do too.
After they passed on, I roamed America's majestic wilderness for nigh on 90 years.
Max Master Volume, okay.
Vampire.
Still quiet. Okay.
Revelation. What I realized was, it ain't fangs that make us monsters. It's the self-defeating ways we think.
That's true.
Anywho, as the world started getting smaller, my old vampire gang tracked me down. Them being my kin, I wanted to help them see the world like I did, but they still have the same monster mindset I used to have.
Still a bit quiet, okay.
But I got hooked up with this newfangled internet thing and found a vampire who's helping my kin find their way. Fella named Andromachos, supposed to be 3,000 years old.
Oh my, 3,000 years old, now that's something.
I figure someone older than time has got to have the answer.
Older than time?
I'm going on a trip, I guess. This
Sorry.
feels like my opportunity to do some good in the world. I've been looking, and now it's time to give back.
Very nice.
Vampires ain't monsters. Or at least, they don't have to be.
No.
And come hell or high water, I'm gonna prove it to them.
There you go. And that's pretty much, in a nutshell, kind of the reason why I wanted to become a therapist. Because we have a lot to offer. Darn tootin'.
I think this is the address.
That's perfect.
27 Clean Flitter Streeb.
Oh yes, German. If only my dad were here, he'd be able to read that.
Sure is a hell of a lot of ruckus for this time of night. People stay up late here. Wait a minute. These folk are vampires.
So are you. You're a vampire
Good
too.
nobbin', folks.
Good nobbin. Well, at least he knows some.
Ja, hello, old time. Are you here to party with us at the hottest club?
Nice. Okay, we have options now. Okay. Ask about the dress code. Let's start that first.
I don't think what I'm wearing will fit the dress code.
Worcestershire sauce, finally a worthy opponent. I don't think I'm wearing what I'm wearing
The
will fit.
cowboy look is totally sexy, but you will get a bit sweaty.
Oh my.
I hope we will all get a bit sweaty.
Ooh, nice.
Good thing we run a little on the cold side, huh?
Cold blood.
Don't worry, my Liebling. We make each other warm.
Ooh.
Reinhard, stop. Don't scare the American. I want to do that.
Welcome to the Vampire Therapist, General. Welcome.
Maxi Liebchen, you're so naughty tonight.
No, you are the naughty one.
Ew. Spicy.
Definitely ain't an American no more.
Yeah, that's about right. German nightclub goers or something else. Yes, and also when they're goth or vampire or whatever, ask about the club.
Well, what's so special about this club?
Oh, that's right. I have to click.
Immernacht is the greatest club aller Zeiten. The owner makes sure everyone has a good time.
Nice. I bet the club owner's the vampire. That's my guess.
If anyone acts without respect, they are banned from the club forever.
And that's true. That should be the same for like streams or anything else. You're not respectful and you don't listen to warnings.
You are free to do and be whatever you like, as long as you are harming no one.
That too. I think it means like immortal night or something like that. I might have to like look that up. But I like that. They say you're free to do and be whatever you like so long as you're harming no one. To me, that's what freedom is. And being able to live in community with lots of different people every night. I thought so.
I hear that they are now attracting sexy old cowboys.
Sexy old cowboys. What about sexy tiefling vampire queens?
Shh, Maxi, he is old enough to be your grandfather.
Ooh.
Oh, come on now. You're just flattering me. I'm only a couple 100 years old.
Oh my god, he is so cute, Reinhard. Can I keep him?
Can I keep it? That's me. Whenever I see a new little monster, I'm like, can I keep them? Ask about Andromel hosts.
I'm looking for Andromachos.
You mean the club owner? Ja, das ist, weil wir hier.
If you're lucky, he will invite us to the private party at the end of the night.
Ooh, private party. It comes with a sexy counseling session, I hope.
What happens there?
I think maybe it is too kinky for Americans to hear.
Yeah, getting good mental health therapy. Too kinky, huh? Tell them you're here to party.
Cut
Let's
loose.
go.
What kind of party is this?
The kind where we dance all night and get
Only if you
sexy.
keep your pets on a leash and make sure they're potty trained. Yes, of course. Only good pets get to stay in the castle.
Oh, you're them kind of vampires.
You're them kind of vampires.
Ach
Okay.
so, there are better things to suck than blood.
Ooh, wow. This might be a little too spicy for Twitch or YouTube. Oh my god.
Although we have to get past the bouncer first. If we do not, I'm thinking our night is ruined.
Oh boy, here we have our first, like, thought form we have to tangle. Them kind of vampires. He's not wrong. Nah, not. I hope not. There were playthroughs, so okay.
Oh, wait a sec. There's something about what she just said. I can feel it.
Yeah, it's a thought
It
distortion.
reminds me of one of my revelations about the funny patterns in the way we vampires think. Well, let's see. One type of thinking I noticed I called hot branding. That's when we brand ourselves with names we can't get rid of. There's high noon mind. That's when we treat a situation like it's a do or die showdown. And there's saloon thinking. That's when we act either helpless or invincible, like we've just drunk a pint of moonshine. I can always check my journal if I need examples. I kept all my notes about the funny ways we vampires think in there.
That's an interesting way to talk about that. I like those little
I know
terms.
which one of them funny ways they're thinking in, though. Hold on, compadres. You seem like the kind who can make their own fun.
I don't want to have my own fun. Imenacht is the only place to be on Friday night.
Okay, so that's basically like all or nothing thinking. So let's
Wait
go.
a second. She's
Oh,
acting like
crap.
this is all or nothing.
That's not what I wanted to pick. Crap. That's not what I wanted to pick. I want to read up on it. Wrong thing here. Journal. Let's check it out. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. Cognitive distortions. Okay. So it says sometimes things can seem black and white, which is basically what she's doing there. Win or lose, famine or feast, live or die, like everything's a big showdown. It can feel like we get only two options, winning the day or ending up with a stake in the heart. So yeah, I would say she's definitely doing high noon thinking, because she's like, well, if I don't get into the club, then I'm not going to have a fun night. And it's like, well, this club is not your only option. You have other options. That's high noon mind. It's thinking in extremes and ignoring all the in between. We stress ourselves out when the stakes are high. Yeah, so that's kind of what she's doing there. She's basically saying, well, if I don't get in and it's not exactly what I want, then I'm not going to have a good time. And we see this with clients all the time, where they'll say, well, I'm only going to be happy if I get this thing or that thing. Or like a lot of streamers that I've seen over my almost 5 years, it's kind of the same thing. Oh, I'm only gonna think this is worthwhile if I reach like 5,000 followers or this kind of thing, and not really appreciating everything else that's in between. So we're gonna try high noon mind.
I don't want to have my own fun. Imenacht is the only place to be on Friday night.
Amigos, you're putting too much weight on this thing. It's a night
First blood.
noon showdown. The night's full of possibilities.
Exactly. There are other things we could do.
I don't know what this means, but I like the way the sexy American talks.
Well, at least they're open to
Thinks
it.
that maybe it is better we haven't gotten into the club, because we are now meeting.
There you go. There. So sometimes when you don't get what you think you want, you actually get some other things that might even be better than what you thought you wanted.
Hey, if meeting me makes your night better, I'm glad we met. I really gotta find Andromachos, though.
You have to get past the bouncer. He decides who gets in and who doesn't. And he hasn't looked our way all night.
Maybe I'll have a little word with him.
Let's go for it. Let's see if we can get
Excuse
it.
me, friend. I
Hello?
have to talk to you about these parts.
He reminds me of like Lurchers. So come when just Americans are candy to goth Germans, apparently. Because I think they think it's a it's a costume or something. I think that's what it is. Like, they're treating it as dress up. I'm gonna get a little drink here. It's already making me dehydrated. Time to dress like a cowboy and take a trip there. Yeah. Or dress like a vampire and take a trip there.
I'm here to see Andromachos.
Oh.
Have fun, mate.
Wow. Okay, I wasn't expecting him to
Thanks,
say anything.
amigo. You have yourself a fine night, you hear?
Y'all.
Boy, what about us?
Oh no. Just like when you're in a D&D adventuring party and you're the one with charm and riz, and you have to go convince the bouncer to let you and your group in. Bring them joy, of course. We don't dash hopes around here. This dude is just perpetually pissed.
Yeah, sure, they're friends of mine.
Yeah.
Have fun, mate.
Okay.
Well, come on, you two. We ain't got all night. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure we're gonna be riding lots of little doggies.
Here.
Yeah, sure, go for it, General. Have fun, mate.
Come on, my liver, dance with us.
Oh, you kids have fun. I'll catch up with you later. Tarnation, I'd rather hear a gopher get hurt than this.
That's so funny for some reason.
I better talk to whoever's slinging drinks in this here saloon. They ought to know where Andromachos is.
Yeah, the bartender knows a lot of stuff. Just get on her good side.
Well, well.
Hello, madam.
We get a lot of 80s fashion in here, but not usually the 1880s.
1880s. Ooh.
What can I get you, cowboy? The special's Red Bull and vodka. You down?
Hmm.
I never drink.
Red Bull.
I'm actually looking for the owner. He around tonight?
Might be. What do you say your name was?
Sam Walls, begging your pardon.
Sam Walls, huh? I don't think I know anything about a Sam Walls. After all, I'm just
Oh, no. She's doing some hot branding. She's doing some labeling. Let's check the thing to make sure we're right about that. Hot Brandon. We vampires sometimes call ourselves awful names. I'm a failure. I'm unlikable. It's like burning ourselves with a big ol' branding iron. Every time we look at ourselves, we'll keep seeing those names. Hot Brandon is just calling ourselves names that do no good. Yep. That seems about right. Red Bull tastes like ass. Nexus? How much ass have you been tasting lately? Okay.
From where I'm standing, I see someone with style and confidence, not just a drink machine. Don't go branding yourself like that's all you are.
Tiffy, no. Tiffy, yes. Wait. I don't know, little monsters. Do some of you just want to eat ass?
Don't you go worrying about me, cowboy. The man upstairs warned me you were coming. I was just testing to see if you are who you say you are.
Yep, we are who we said we are.
Let me give you something from our special reserve.
Ooh,
You're looking for booze.
blood. No, we're looking for blood.
Thank you kindly, ma'am. I was wondering where the blood was. I met some vampires outside, so I figured this was a vampire club.
I did what? Which one? Oh well, whatever. My brain probably went and did what it always says. Oh well. The tastes like ass. Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
You met some goths, honey.
Goths, not other vampires. Okay.
So all these people are mortals?
How do you think the head vampire gets his blood?
Well, that's clever.
To share it with him. It's a special experience.
I bet.
He's the only real vampire here. Well, him and Bert.
Oh, okay. So there's another vampire, maybe like his business partner. Yes. Yeah. Yes. That is what my stepmom said to one of my stepbrothers. She was like, and how do you know what ass tastes like? Have you been eating a lot of it lately or something like that?
You met him already. Bert, shuffle on over here.
Oh, so that's his name. I was gonna say, I bet it's the bouncer guy.
This one's here to see the big guy. Show him upstairs, okay?
Have fun, mate.
Okay, will do.
Good luck up there, cowboy. Hope you find what you're looking for.
Very nice. I like the way they've done this so far. Pretty classy, pretty funny.
Howdy. It's Sam Walls to see you, sir. The guy who's been sending you all them V-mails.
V-mails?
Yes, I know
Yes.
who you are, Samuel Walls.
Ooh.
You have come here because you believe you can help our kin. The question is, are you first
V-mails,
able to help
vampire
yourself?
voice. This is a good thing, and this is one of the things that we're taught as counselors, is before we can counsel other people, we have to be willing to do work on ourselves, and we have to know how to work through and identify our own stuff, our own baggage. Because if we have all of that unresolved stuff, it's going to come up in the therapy room. And it's going to impede us in being able to work as authentically and effectively with our clients as possible. I'm going to say I can help myself.
I've been fixing myself for more than a century now. I don't think I need help.
Well, I'm going to say, even though I answered that, all counselors can always use supervision. We can always use support. So it's less like, no matter how long we've been working on ourselves, whether it's a century, 2 centuries, a couple of decades, that's the thing about personal growth, is it never really ends.
Then you must prepare to learn a most difficult lesson. We all need help, Samuel. I am pleased that you have come to receive mine.
Dang, you scared the heck out of me.
You
He's
must
right,
allow
though.
the ancient vampire his games. He will play them regardless. Please, sit down. What an absolute pleasure it is to meet you at last. I found your messages most intriguing.
He does. He does kind of sound like the Beast. I really, 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 really love the voice acting.
Afraid there ain't much here in the way of intrigue. I'm just a lonesome cowboy looking for answers.
You know, I receive emails every day from vampires seeking my help. You are the very first to seek my aid in helping others. This alone makes you intriguing.
Which is basically what I've been trying to communicate to people when looking for my internship and my practicum and stuff, is saying, yes, I am a person with a disability. Yes, in real life I'm a wheelchair user. I understand that you don't see people like me very often because you often assume that we are the ones needing help. I'm showing up because I want to help you help. And I like that Andromahos is basically saying that here, which is it's very rare that, at least what we know so far, that a vampire would have done enough work on themselves to want to help others.
Well, dang. I think you're gonna be sorely disappointed when you get to talking to me. I'm just honored you're giving me the time of night.
I have unlimited time, Samuel. I am pleased to share some of it with you. Our kind can be rather set in their ways. It is inspiring to see someone so young and eager to learn.
Yeah, well, I wasn't much for learning when I was alive. Just making up for lost time, I guess.
It sounds as though you have been handling your own life better than most. I was particularly intrigued by these revelations you had while walking in nature.
Oh yeah, them. Well, I give walking the credit. Nothing sorts my thoughts out better.
See, and I think that's, that's a good thing to keep in mind, even inside or outside therapy, is like sometimes when you need to just get a clear head, being able to walk in nature is like a really good way to do that. And it basically makes sure that you're giving yourself some literal time to breathe, some literal time to think some stuff out, instead of just going around and around and around and being like, I have to sit here until I figure it out. Well, sometimes literally going into another location or going and doing something else will actually help you kind of think about the problem better.
After a few decades, I started seeing patterns in the way we vampires think.
Can you explain some of these patterns?
I've tried to explain them to other vampires, but it ain't never gone well. I could try, though.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that the creators of this visual novel kind of put all that stuck thinking on vampires, because they do tend to be stuck in their ways. But it's really interesting because then I could look at certain people and be like, oh, they're being a vampire right now. They're being a vampire person. They're being like a little bit stuck, or they're being a little bit like antagonistic or like unwilling to listen to things. And that is something that we come across in therapy a lot. And usually when that happens, it just means the client might not be at the place yet where they're willing to kind of step out of those patterns. Because it actually takes recognition, oh hey, something's wrong, something's not working well for me, maybe I should change something.
See, we tend to assume certain things just because we've been believing them since we were alive.
Basically like a fixed belief, a well-worn pathway as far as that's concerned.
Or we decide the world's against us just because we're hungry or tired or something.
Basically.
And when we start tackling problems that ain't real, we ain't fixing our real problems.
Basically.
That make any kind of sense?
Yeah, and that's pretty much, I think a lot of people, even I have struggled with that sometimes, to basically be like, okay, is the problem I think is the problem the actual problem, or is this just the symptom of the actual deeper problem that is actually the one that needs tweaking?
Fascinating, Samuel. These revelations that you had in the woods, mortal psychologists have a term for them. They are called cognitive distortions.
Cognitive who's he what now?
Cognitive distortions. They are exactly as you described them. I will explain in a moment. Please, tell me about these specific revelations you had.
Okay, I think I want him to explain saloon thinking first, because this is the one that we haven't really encountered as a challenge
I
yet.
realize that as vampires, we can get the feeling of the power that comes with immortality and strength, but then we get hopeless and aimless over time. It's kind of like the fella you see in the saloon at the bottom of a bottle of whiskey. Either he thinks he can fight everyone, or he's crying into the last drops because he thinks life's hopeless.
I know a couple of VTubers like this. I'm not gonna name names, but I know I've met a couple of people like this in my 5 years in the community who just seem to be like, they're either all on and can conquer the world, or life sucks and it's over and they should graduate. And I'm just like, that's not gonna help you build a pathway forward.
It's saloon thinking. Two extremes that probably ain't true.
A fascinating observation, Samuel. Your saloon thinking was described in my time as the battle between...
In a way,
between excesses of arrogance and self-pity.
cognitive distortions basically have to do with how you think about things. And yes, how you think about things, at least in a therapeutic sense, will impact how you see something. So it's more of like a mental... I like to think of these as like mental blocks or like mental smoke and mirrors in a way, that they'll kind of get your mind made up that a situation, oh, it must only be this way, or I must only be this kind of person. And so if that's all that you perceive about yourself or a situation, you might get into a pattern of behavior and belief systems about yourself that continue keeping you in a spot that maybe you don't want to be in.
Oh man, it makes me wish I'd gotten some schooling. Maybe I would have figured this stuff out earlier.
Sam, you're figuring it out right on time. I mean, I could say that about starting my master's degree at the ancient old age of 37. But I decided to go for it anyway, because look, I wasn't getting any younger, and I'm not old.
You live forever, my friend. There is no rush.
One of the reasons I don't drink is because I know, obviously, yeah, I have family members that are a little bit like that. I guess I would be in that category a little bit.
What you have identified is a phenomenon where individuals perceive either an illusion of control or a lack of control.
Right, and both are bad. Because if you believe that you can control everything, then that kind of makes you obsessive in a bad way, where you're not really open to what is or what's happening. And if you're on the other side where you feel like you have no control, you will not make any choices at all. You will be in this sort of situation where everything is helpless and you can't do anything and there's no choices you can make. Like Andromahos says, both of those things are not really true. You don't have control over everything in your life, but you're also not out of control of everything either.
Mortal psychologists call this phenomenon you have described a control fallacy. Rarely do we have complete power over our situations or no power at all. But we create this illusion that stops us from attempting to change our perceived situations.
Correct. And this is what I see a lot in a lot of people for different reasons. Oh, well, I could never go learn how to do something like this because, well, I'm too old and there's no way I could even understand everything. Or I'd really like to go traveling, but there's no possible way I could do it. Yeah, there are things like money and other things like that that do very much get in the way of someone doing something. But what they're saying here is what you have in your mind about a situation is one of the most powerful ingredients about what's going to decide either you taking a risk or making some changes, or you staying in the same old soup.
Yeah, you're right about that. I used to think I'd never get away from my gang. And maybe that's what made me stick with them for so long.
Yes, you see how cognitive distortions keep us from facing reality, whatever that reality may be.
Right, because in either sense of those cognitive distortions, they're different distortions, but either way, when we're in the midst of those, we're not seeing clearly what the situation is, we're not seeing clearly our role in it, and we're not seeing clearly how we might change it if we accepted the job of doing the work to make changes.
Of course, I am so old and powerful that I am always in control.
Oh, that sounds like our buddy here.
You're testing me, ain't you? That's a control fallacy right there.
Well done, Samuel. I am indeed very powerful, but the cosmos holds no awareness of Andromahos.
Right, and that's, to me, I think that's also really important when people have this idea that, oh, the universe must be against me or the world must be against me. In what Andromahos just said, we're making a big assumption there. We're making an assumption that the universe or the world itself is conscious of us specifically and is coming down on us specifically. When in fact the situation might be that's not what's happening, and it might be some of our own behaviors and choices that are having an impact.
Of course, as you expertly pointed out with your analogy about the man.
Welcome in, welcome in.
Fallacy can be positive or negative.
Thank you, Genevieve, for the raid. How are you, dear? We are just playing some Vampire Therapist. Welcome in. Good to have you. How was your stream, dear? Can we get a shout out? But thank you so much for sharing your community with me. I really appreciate it. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Tiefy Weefy. I am a tiefling, sometimes tiefling vampire VTuber. I do a lot of ASMR content most of the time. When I'm not doing that, I do some writing streams or tarot reading streams. And I am actually working to become a mental health therapist in real life who might be looking to use TTRPGs for their therapeutic qualities. So I decided it would be really fun as a therapist in training to play a game all about therapy. So welcome in, everybody. Welcome to the Brood. Please feel free to get comfortable. Also, sometimes a dragon tuber. Yes, I might be a dragon now, guys. I have been called a dragon so many times. I might be a dragon, secretly. But anyway, welcome in, everybody. Please get comfortable. Genevieve, if you need to raid and run, I totally understand that. Streaming can take a lot out of you. So I understand if you can't stay for very long, but thank you again for sharing your community with me. Very, very much appreciated. And General, okay, that sounds fine. Have a good rest of your night. Thanks for dropping in. For the tags, Collie, do this. Maybe she's a dragon. Possibly dragon. Too bad we can't do question marks in the tags. That would be funny. Possibly a dragon. But she was still Tiffy. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na. Anyways, okay. Let's get back to the game, shall we?
Listen to my next few statements and try to find a control fallacy. Simply let me continue if you do not detect one. The sun will eventually burn out. I will roam a cold, dead earth, and there is little I can do about it.
Nope, that's not one. That's reality. I would, but dragon has more dragon tubers. I see. Fine. Since I'm already getting confused for a dragon, we can just do that.
My kitty cat died. I shall be lonely forever.
That's not, I don't think. I'm gonna see what the third one is. That one might be it.
I shall never feel the warm sun upon my skin again. I shall never feel the warm sun upon my skin again.
Okay, I think... No, it is the second one.
You didn't catch my control fallacy.
It is the second one. Because basically they're giving away control of their happiness
The sun will eventually
to
burn
their
out.
cat
I will
dying.
roam a cold, dead earth, and there is little I can do about it. My kitty cat died. I shall be lonely forever.
I'm sorry about your sweet kitty, but you can always pick up a new one. Or there's lots of them just waiting for a loving home, so you don't need to be lonely.
It was just an example, Samuel. Well spotted. But I do speak from experience. I felt this way once when a pharaoh I was dating had our catty moment for...
Ooh, dating a pharaoh. Hey, yo, I want more details. More details now.
I went into a murderous depression that nearly decimated the continent. But I had the power to help myself all along by adopting a new friend in need of a home.
Oh, dang, don't let me get on your bad side.
I doubt you shall see it, Samuel. Did you have more revelations to tell me about?
Yes, let's do High Noon Mind next.
Well, I noticed how we stress ourselves out by making everything a battle of do-or-die absolutes. High noon mind, I call it. Like that feeling you get right before a big shootout.
I must confess I have no experience with this feeling. I engaged in mortal combat long before the age of gunpowder.
See, okay, this is the way an ancient vampire character should be written. The way they do Andromahos is perfect. With his dialogue so far, you really get the sense he's been around a long time. So, as a writer, I really like that, because in the anime sphere, people always like to play with these big stretches of time. Like, I'm 3,000 years old, and yet I look like I'm 13. Well, but the thing is, if you're gonna play with that amount of time, that you have to be able to feel the weight of that. So, like, you're gonna lose a lot of your friends, you're gonna see a lot of culture change, you're gonna hear languages change, languages are gonna emerge and die out. There's a lot of stuff. So if you're gonna build a character or perform a character that has that length of time, you better be prepared to sell it in terms of those details.
But the sentiment you describe mirrors the words of my old friend Marcus Aurelius. He used to say that the magnitude of life's challenges often turn us into our worst selves.
Yes, that is true, and that's kind of a risk, right? And that's why being a counselor, in a way, is one of my callings, because we're all going to be going through huge life challenges at one point or another, or several life challenges. But we need to do the work on ourselves so that these challenges don't bring out the worst in us. We want to make sure that even though it's a challenge, we're aware and insightful enough to turn those challenges into personal growth, not personal or self or communal destruction.
You mean Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor?
This is what I mean, those details.
Of course, his name was Marcus. Marky was a bedroom name.
Ooh. Bedroom name, okay.
You mean you and the emperor were...
Yes. That's exactly what he means. They were bosom buddies.
It was ancient Rome. Penetration was similar to a handshake.
There you go. He said it, not me.
My apologies. I somehow forgot you were American. But let us discuss this high noon.
Of course, because Americans are actually like Puritans underneath. We're very puritanical. We're very visual, but we don't know what to do with all that skin.
your definition. Mortal psychologists call this phenomenon of binary thought polarized thinking, but I like to call it Nosferatu thinking.
Gasp! Skin! But I like to call it Nosferatu thinking. I love how they brought that detail in. So it's pretty much like on, of course, either extreme. So like polar opposites, right? Or Nosferatu, black and white, right? Because the film, get it? Black and white.
Nosferatu thinking?
It means you are thinking in black and white.
I get it. That's pretty funny.
Pretty clever.
I believe it encompasses the breadth of the distortion. One is not flatly weak or strong, good or evil, smart
Blah, I get
success or
it.
failure. Not every high noon gunfight ends in oblivion, correct?
Right.
But yeah, that's true. Getting shot still ain't fun, but it ain't the end neither.
Not always.
A perfect example, Samuel. Now, try to catch me using Nosferatu thinking. I will give you a series of statements, and one of them will contain Nosferatu thinking. I will repeat them if you miss it. If I do not drink blood, I will surely die.
Nope, that's not it, because that's a fact. In counseling, that would be considered a factual statement about needs and the result of what's going to happen if those factual needs are not met.
Death eventually comes for us all.
That's also not it, because that's a fact.
Mortals will always fear our kind.
That's the Nosferatu thinking, because that's not true. Because there are plenty of vampires or vampire hybrids, including yours truly, that the regular humans love.
That's Nosferatu thinking right there. I've met mortals who
Confident cowboy.
Very good, Samuel. And even if you hadn't, to say mortals will always fear us ends any hope that they might not.
Correct. So that's the same thing as saying, oh, no one will ever hire me because fill in blank. What we're doing there in our thinking is we're killing the possibility of something not fitting the pattern. You see? So it's always what happens in romance novels or things like that too, where someone says, oh, I'll never find true love. Well, if they believed in that too much, then they would totally and completely remove themselves from the possibility that that might be proven wrong. Reaper, welcome in, dear. Welcome in. Good to see you.
Always is such a terminal word, is it not?
Well, that's why I say our thinking is really going to set ourselves up for how we interact with the world. I'm very much a fan of something called CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, and basically the bare bones of that is how I think determines how I feel, and how I feel is going to determine the options I feel like I have to act. So CBT is all about changing those cognitions, changing those thoughts, and saying, well, if I didn't only think about something this way, how would I feel differently? And if I felt differently, what would I do differently?
Would you like to discuss more of your revelations with me?
Good, I'm glad you're learning some stuff already. That's why I really wanted to play this one. Hot branding.
I used to be in a gang. They were my
Tiffy is dipping her toes into Vampire Therapist today. Yes, indeed. And my fangs, too.
Once I got away, I realized how small-minded that was. I was Sam before I was a murdering bastard.
Murdering
I was choosing to brand
bastard.
myself.
But that's how I was choosing to brand myself. And so, see, if Sam had continued to only say, well, I'm just a murdering, bloodthirsty bastard, he would have made no room in his mind, his emotions, and his choices to become something more than that. And that, to me, is the magic of therapy, and what having a good therapist and being able to spot those little gremlin thoughts and say, hey, is that really true? Is that really something I want?
My old gang's still around, and they're still branding themselves like that. They can't see themselves as anything but killers.
And what makes that worse is when your society continues to brand you as a killer, as a know-nothing, as a worthless one, right? So then when we have the society component, which to me the gang sort of represents, right? So when we combat this in therapy, we not only have to work with the person, but we have to work with how the person engages with society and what parts they decide to continue participating in and which sides they disconnect from for mental and emotional well-being. I'm looting everything that isn't bolted down. Looks like Kali infected you with his loot goblin. Well, I've accepted that romantic relationships are not for me. I just wish the desire would die. Well, that's an interesting, that's an interesting thing, and I think that might be worth maybe journaling or doing some creativity around just to, like, explore that a little more, Redfield. I feel like there might be something there. How can individuals maintain their integrity in a hyper-judging society? Well, they have to band together with other similar-minded people. And they have to change their mindset to say, I need to be accepted by society to be worthy, and to say something like, I accept myself, therefore I am worthy. So it's really about working with the client to say, society is kind of effed up. Society may never see your total and complete value. But what that then leaves room for is for you to see your value and to go on a quest to find others who see your value. This is true for friendship, family, partners, and yes, jobs.
Very astute, Samuel. I favor the clinical term, however, which is labeling. You correctly discovered that labeling is a reductive act. When we call ourselves names, even if we find them accurate, we create prophecies we are doomed to fulfill.
And that's exactly right as well. It's one of those things where if you just say, well, I'm just an advocate, I'm just an activist, I'm just a person with a disability, those can be reductive if you then don't also formulate and share other parts of yourselves. And to me, that's what's interesting whenever we talk about self-love movements, aka pride movements, where, you know, there's a reclaiming of language. Like, I'm a disabled person, I'm a gay, lesbian, transgender person. That is a label. And there are some people that say, well, isn't that reductive? You're more than that. Yes, it can be if that's all you start identifying as, but there is also an important way to have power with your own language and how you conceive of yourself. Destined, good to see you, dear. It's been a while. How are you?
For millennia, I thought of myself as a killer. It was not untrue that killing was how I made my way in the world. I was an unstoppable warrior and assassin. But with this label, I limited myself for ages. I did not only kill people, I also killed potential aspirations I might have.
Yes. And that's the big one. A label is only useful if it expands your inspiration, if it expands the way you see yourself in the world. Then that language, aka that label per se, might be useful. But if it limits you, if it entangles you, then it might be time to re-examine that label. And that's why I also have always been an advocate for being very, very, very careful about how you allow other people to speak about you, especially in the streamer land, especially when it comes to using terms like ditzy or things like that. Because yeah, they might seem harmless like the first one or two times, but then like if people get comfortable calling you ditzy or dumb or stupid, like what starts out as a joke can actually be really harmful. And I've seen it really backfire on people, so that's why I'm very careful about the words that I use toward myself and that I allow others to use toward me. You're very tired, nothing crazy unusual for a college student? No. No. I'm in college now too. So I can relate. Like last semester really just, really did me in. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
See whether you can catch me doing some labeling in my next few statements. I am so old, I am ancient.
I mean, maybe, but I think that's more... I don't think that really has a negative, like, connotation to it.
Call me whatever you like, but don't call me late for dinner.
No, that one's just funny. That one's just...
Describe myself. Yes, I am a mass murderer.
I'm gonna say that one's like labeling here because you are way, 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 way more than that. You might have been that, but that is no longer just what you are.
Well, that's about as clear a labeling as it gets. Yeah, we vampires tend to do a lot of killing, but reducing ourselves to killers ain't doing us any favors.
Yeah, because then it means there's no possibility for you to become a therapist or, you know, a therapist who provides supervision to a cowboy vampire therapist. You know, those kinds of things.
Excellent, Samuel. You are correct. Labels can be cages that we lock ourselves in. I was a mere murderer for most of my existence because that is how I labeled myself.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Sam Walls, the murderer, reprobate, and good for nothing.
Those are not how I would describe the Sam Walls I see before me.
Nope. I would describe him as kind, insightful, and flexible. Yeah, they can be very insidious. So that's why I say we all should be a little bit more aware and conscientious about the language we use because it can either be very hurtful or very helpful.
Did you have more revelations to tell me about?
I think that's all of them. Or at least the ones that were the most obvious to me.
That you recognize the concept of cognitive distortions at all is most impressive, Samuel. What took me nearly 3 millennia to understand took you merely 2 centuries.
I love this so much. This right here is a perfect example of how everyone learns at their own time and that there's nothing anyone can do to take anyone off their timeline of having to learn something. So for some people, they might be able to learn, you know, when they're being deceived or when they're being mistreated very quickly. And other people, because they may have a need to subconsciously deny that's what's going on, or they may have been in a family situation where they were taught not to question what's happening to them. It might take them much longer to say, hey, wait a minute. I realized this was going on. I realized this about myself. So everyone is on their own trajectory for that. And it's why I like the saying better late than never. It's better that someone arrives at those learnings or those understandings late than not at all. Because there are some people who do not have access to those learnings in this lifetime. And that can be a pretty challenging thing. I've missed you too, Destined. I hope you've been doing well. Right, and so that's a good example of distortion on the other party. That the other party is making an assumption that, oh, your language is not to show self-love, it's to be reductionist, or it's to be exclusionist. I've also seen people make that argument that, oh, by using that to describe yourself, you're saying that you're better than this person or that person. And so that's just one of those things. Well, and then when we run into tokenism, right, there's a whole other thing. And that's why I really appreciate this game, right? Because anyone could choose to make a game about therapy, right? Anyone could say, well, I'm going to make a game about a therapist. And you could view that as a token entry. But what makes this not that is they actually had real life freaking flippin' therapists participating in the creation of it so that it is an authentic expression and not just someone putting in a token and saying, well, we're just gonna do this because we want, the money or we want other things going on. Or because it sounds cool, but we don't really know anything about it. That kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's a risk, but that's why I always encourage, and why we even talked about that last time when tokenism came up, is that a big way to not do that is to invite the actual people involved, in this case therapists, to participate in making something so that it's authentic. Because we already have, unfortunately, a lot of misconstrued stuff about what therapy is, what good it does, whether it's worth it, yada yada yada. So it's very important that actual therapists be involved in showing people this is the kind of good that therapy can do. I guess that steak had a lot of seasoning, Reaper. Take it easy. Get some milk. Get some water.
Oh, come on. You're just flattering me. I'm just a dope stumbling his way through one life.
Samuel.
How are you now? Tell me, Samuel, what kind of cognitive distortion are you exhibiting when you call yourself a dope?
Yeah, I'm doing some labeling. I gotta watch myself, huh?
As long as we retain any humanity, we will have cognitive
Oh my
distortions.
goodness. A raid. Welcome in.
Become perfect beings,
Welcome in,
but to
Raiders.
understand and accept ourselves.
Rampaging Asian. Good to see you, dear. It's been a long time. How are you? It means community trust is frayed when some do performative acts but don't mean it. Yeah, and it means, worst of all, it means that people continue to get the wrong idea of the entire group when that happens. It's been a while. I hope you've been doing good. I've been doing well. I've just had a lot going on in my life, but doing well in spite of all of it. But welcome in. I'm glad you're able to be here today. I hope you had a good stream. Can we get a shout out for them, please? I love this line here. As long as we retain any humanity, we will have cognitive distortions. Meaning what? That's part of the human experience. What we are aiming for is not to become perfect beings. Keywords here, little monsters, pay attention. And this is true of real therapy. Therapy is not about perfection. What it's about is helping clients to understand and accept themselves. And part of that means if you recognize that you'd like to change something or learn some more behaviors that are more useful or some more thought patterns that are more helpful, that is part of understanding yourself and understanding what you need. Because a lot of people who have negative or unhelpful behaviors or thoughts have possibly a lack of awareness and acceptance of themselves in order to do the work. As in, there has to be some self-compassion that we have, not only as therapists to ourselves, but then compassion to our clients.
As long as we can recognize cognitive distortions, we can address our real challenges. One cannot drink blood from a straw man, after all.
That's true. Which means, if you haven't recognized what the real problem is, you can't get any benefit from it. Just like in a straw man that you've mistaken as a real human being, you're not going to get a meal out of that.
Huh. I ain't never heard that one before, but I like it.
If it helps solidify the concept in your mind, then I am well satisfied.
Was just doing the new Zenless Zone Zero story mode. Very cool. I hope it was amazing and fun.
I know you came to learn from me, so I will do my best to honor your good intentions. Let us ensure that you understand the concepts of labeling, control fallacies, and Nosferatu thinking.
Yay! Some time to practice!
I will give you a series of statements, and each one will contain a cognitive distortion for you to identify. I will begin. If I invite over my vampire friends, I know I'm going to have to deal with guano all over the place when they turn into bats at the end of the night.
I'm thinking that's gonna be Nosferatu thinking, because it's kind of black and white. It might not happen if you have a conversation with them beforehand that goes, hey, when you turn into your bat form, please do not try to crap all over my house, please. Thanks. So we're gonna go with Nosferatu just to see what happens.
Well, that ain't right.
Oh.
He's acting powerless, like a man clinging to the whiskey bottle.
Powerless,
What
huh?
did Mako
Okay.
say that distortion was?
Oh, okay. Wait. Control fallacy. Interesting.
If I invite over my vampire
Okay,
friends,
that
I
was
know I'm
not.
going to have to deal with
That was
guano
not
all
it.
over the place when they turn into bats at the
Okay,
end of the night.
so what they're wanting you to focus on here is not like what I was focusing on initially. It's really like he's expressing a lack of control over the situation, like that there's nothing he can do, that there's no in between, basically.
Well, there's a control fallacy, sir. You're acting like you've got no control, but you could lay down some ground rules for guests, or some newspaper.
Go on the newspaper. Go on the newspaper. You hear that, little monsters? If you need to go to the bathroom, go find the newspaper or the nearest toilet. Thank you.
Or express concern to my friends that they have not been toilet trained. Very good, Samuel.
If your friends have not been toilet trained on Dromahos, maybe you need to call a certain Mama Tiffy and I'll help you toilet train those little bats. Oh, I've got some in the next room. You can go through the door and down the hall and you should be able to find some.
I am Andromachus, the ancient darkness, the scourge of the Mediterranean, the mortal's bane.
Ooh. Okay.
Well, that's definitely some intense labeling. Those are some hard names to get over.
Either that or that was Nosferatu thinking. I'm not sure
You're
there.
not wrong. Those names followed me for millennia. It was most stifling. Let me try another then. If my club's revenues do not significantly increase, I will end up living on the street.
I think this one is Nosferatu thinking. Because, I mean, while that might be true, I might be getting caught again here. Well, I mean, Collie, I think we're getting into Freud territory with some of that, and it would be interesting to see what use that is. I think it's like labeling when done right, or when using terms to describe ourselves. I'm going to use that instead of labeling. When we use terms to describe ourselves, we give ourselves a sense of self, and everyone needs a sense of self. And so I think, as with anything, there is a positive way to use some quote labeling, if we're going to call it that, and then there are times and places in which that becomes extremely negative. Okay, so this one might be a little bit tricky, because I'm like, am I gonna miss the control fallacy again here? But I also think that's black and white thinking, because that might very well be a result, but that might not be the only way that could go down. You know what's interesting? I'm feeling like I'm getting more time to practice this than I am like in part of my counseling program, because it's like they're actually kind of testing this with you in scenarios here. I'm gonna go Nosferatu thinking and see what happens. A lot of hero villain types attach their essences to their labels, aka their names, right? Some of that is important, some of that is healthy, and then some of that is just unnecessarily caging. Let's try this. We might be wrong here, but let's try.
That there's got to be Nosferatu thinking. There's a huge space between making a ton of profit and living on the street.
Indeed, you are correct. I run my club at a considerable loss, but 3,000 years of banking interest means that money is not really an object to me anymore.
It's good to see you again, Asian. I hope you take care. Thanks for hanging out with us. You are a really good person too, and I'm sending you lots of positive vibes and love and monster hugs.
Samuel, now I am not only intrigued by you, but also impressed. I would very much like to teach you my ways, but I must demand something of you first.
3K years of baking interest? Jeez. See? Like, a vampire doesn't have to have a lot of money. They could have, like, one of the smallest coins ever, and then just kind of put that in a bank, and it's just like the vampire equivalent of Fry from Futurama. They just get wealthy AF from all the interest.
Anything. I'm here to learn.
You must receive therapy yourself. I will not have you seeing clients without a commitment to your own mental health.
And that's really important. I like that they put that in there, because there's a misconception that, well, if you're a therapist, you also yourself don't need a therapist. That is incorrect. We may have done more personal work on ourselves, but it's very, very important for therapists to also have regular therapy from giving therapy to others, so that we have space and time to unpack everything we might be holding on to because of the work we're doing with our clients. So, in order so that we don't become impaired, as in too burdened by our own mental or emotional suffering, we need to take an emotional shower. We need to take a mental crap, so to speak. So we also need to have our own people that we go to literally unload, to let it rest, because our clients cannot and should not be providing
10
that.
seconds before being an absolute freak.
Oh, Astarian. No, I will always be a freak.
Oh, now, hold on just a minute. I don't know that I need therapy. I'm feeling pretty good about myself these days.
Samuel, come on. You need therapy regularly to make sure that you are well adjusted.
Samuel, we all need therapy to live in this world. You have been speaking in cognitive distortions since the moment you walked into my office.
I have. I didn't even notice.
And that's kind of why we need therapy also, just to have a regular check-in with someone else to be like, okay, are we fine-tuned? Are we operating the best we possibly can emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically?
They are most insidious, but I am here to help you identify and challenge them. You have walked alone for too long, Samuel. Allow me to share my
I love this. And that's all I want for myself. I want an Andromahos for myself to be like, Tiffy, I'm a therapist and I'm ready to help guide and teach you. Come here, my mentor. I want this. I want this so badly.
Well, all right, if you say so. I appreciate your taking the time to work on this old cowpoke.
We have all the time in the world, Samuel. But for now, you must be eager for something fresh. Please, dance, drink your fill. We will begin tomorrow.
Ooh, okay, so we get a drink, we get to have some relaxation, and the internship starts tomorrow. Great.
Okay, then. Well, sir, it's been an honor.
You don't have to call me sir, you know.
All right, then, Andromachos.
Andromachos.
Andromahos. I knew he was gonna correct.
Hey, Andromachos.
Sam! Come on! He's just gonna end up calling him Andy, isn't he?
Just call me Andy.
Okay. He made it easy for him.
I'll see you tomorrow, then. Dang, look at all them mortals sweating, blood pumping.
Sweating, blood pumping, ayo.
Dessert that'll get me on a dance floor. Maybe I'll see if the bartender's got anything for me.
If it isn't Clint Eastwood again. How'd it go, cowboy?
It went well, I think.
Seems I'll be sticking around. Guess I better get used to things around here.
Good to hear. About time someone helped Andy with his work. Seems you vampires have a lot of problems to fix. Name's Crimson, by the way.
Fine meeting you, Crimson. How do you know so much about what Andy's doing?
I think she knows because she's in special with him somehow.
Pillow talk. I'm his
Ooh, blood partner, okay.
No shit. How's a mortal get hooked up with an ancient vampire?
I'm a rock climber. I stumbled into one of his
And
layers
you
in
stumbled
Madagascar.
into one of his
While
layers?
climbing a mountain, and there he was, naked in a hot tub.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Dang. Must have been a sight.
Yes, I can only imagine.
You ain't kidding, cowboy. Didn't expect a luxury apartment with a gorgeous naked vampire inside of a mountain.
Wow, okay, very cool.
We hit it off, and he asked me to come back here with him. I like an adventure, so I said, what the hell? I'll date the gorgeous Draken.
Very
What
nice.
you doing talking to me, cowboy? The blood's running hot on the dance floor, and these kids don't mind a little bit.
Ooh, a little bit of fang bang, I see.
Ain't no way I'm dancing. There's gotta be a better way to get something fresh to drink.
Reinhard, look. It's the sexy old guy again.
Oh hey, it's these guys.
You should buy us a drink, old guy. You'll probably get lucky.
Naked vampire.
You'll definitely get lucky.
Oh my, definitely get lucky, wow.
Pleasures of the flesh ain't exactly what I'm after tonight.
That's because you haven't experienced these pleasures with us.
Oh
yet.
my
Have a
goodness.
drink and you will discover great satisfaction.
Wow.
Bones.
I'm gonna need a cough drop. My throat is very dry after that. And this is exactly why I'm awkward at dance parties. They're up all night to get lucky, yes. I bet they would crank this song in this club too. I don't like any of these answers, but I guess I will tell them. I already have my tall drink of water. It's called Collie, except he's not very tall. At least in lore life. I'm gonna tell them I don't have the money because I'm a cowboy. I literally don't. Now, if I were there, I'd have plenty of money for drinks.
I ain't buying you a drink. All I got are good old-fashioned dollars.
I like American money. All we have on our money are buildings. You have all the sexy old men.
Excuse me? So you like that I have a bunch of sexy, quote, old men all over my dollar bills? That does not sound like a fun night.
All right, I'll buy it. Which of them old men are sexy?
I like Hamilton. His posture is just so powerful.
You lot need to just chill a little bit. You're both very
There
hot-blooded.
is a dollar coin that has Eisenhower's face on it.
Oh, you are right. Eisenhower is, how do you Americans say, a snack?
Hey, yo! You think Eisenhower is a snack? I would go for Tom Cruise as the stot before I would go say Eisenhower is a straight up snack.
I get it. You like older men. Look, kids, you seem like nice enough folks, but I wasn't planning on buying drinks tonight.
Stop teasing the cowboy, Kinder. They're just messing with you. Drinks are free here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Didn't Andromahos mention something about that?
Dang, really? Ain't never been to a saloon with free hooch.
Call it a drink exchange.
Huh. So, everyone here knows they might be sharing blood?
I suppose so, since there are like a few vampires around. Makes me wonder what they think of Franklin. I don't know. Maybe they'll tell us.
Only as long as there's consent. We like to create a safe environment.
Yeah, no shit. Consent, guys. A big deal for a, safe, good time. Which is what everyone should feel safe that they're having.
Why don't you take Reinhard and Maxie here back to the kink?
Excuse me, what are we gonna be doing with them in the kink room? And what are we gonna be doing first? Drinking or,
Wait, kink room?
You're not in Kansas anymore, cowboy. We are not afraid of sex here.
Obviously.
I'm from Missouri, but point taken.
I do like that this game is just sort of out with it. It's like, what? That's why I'd probably like to go back to Germany at some point, because, yeah.
Nobody has to do anything they don't want to do in there. Just have fun and drink your fill, handsome. I'm sure I'll be seeing plenty of you. Maxie, Reinhard, this is one of our special customers.
So, ein Vampir.
Vampire.
I'm thinking we are all getting lucky then.
Oh my goodness!
My neck throbs with anticipation.
Throbs with anticipation. What is this? The beginning of a romance novel? I'm here for it.
Dang. Guess I'm going to a kink room then. Thanks, Crimson.
Ooh, okay. I wonder how the feeding's actually gonna go.
I knew a man who wore this much leather couldn't be boring.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, you got me pegged.
Pegged? Sam, I don't think you want to say something like that in a place like this, or do you?
Is that what we are doing now? Give me the document and I will sign myself up for it.
Oh, okay. Oh no.
In Missouri no more. Look, I'm more into biting.
Oh, your teeth look perfect.
Oh my goodness, he's having a gasm over our teeth.
That's the plan. Who's going first?
Oh my goodness. Fang bang, here we come.
Me.
Me. Okay, boy, calm
Step
down.
right on up. Remember, Sammy boy, just stick the tips of them fangs into the blue veins and we'll all have a nice time.
It's like a nice, interesting blend. It's like my daytime and my nighttime self are like at a rave party together right now. Is what it feels like. Because my VTuber self is like, hey, this is cool. And my therapist is like, wow, this is neat. Oh boy, okay. I didn't realize I was gonna need my controller for this. Oh boy.
Oh, das hat sich gut angefühlt.
I guess we did it. I really thought I was gonna miss.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Is it my turn yet?
Oh, wait. We're gonna have to do it again.
Sure thing. Come on over.
Okay, let's hope we can do it again. And not bite the... Okay, we have to watch out for the collar on this one. Okay. Are we ready?
Oh, I don't like that very much.
Oh no! What happened here? Crap, we messed up that one. Dang it!
Dang, what's wrong with me?
It's me. My timing is what's wrong with you, Samuel. Can we do this with the mouse? That would be so much easier. Dude, they do not give me a lot of room to go for the blue vein part.
Oh, I don't like that.
Damn it! I missed again.
Hey, what's wrong with
I'm such a virgin. I missed. Damn it. This is why I will, okay. Come on, I'm trying not to bite the other thing. Okay, where in the heck should I be biting? Because the collar's covering up like a huge bunch of it. But then I'm also biting the red bits.
Dang it, that collar's in the way.
My,
The challenge makes it more fun.
oh my lord. Okay, come on. Come on, TV, let's do it. So the...
Nicht meine Arterien.
No, not the artery. Gosh darn it.
Shucks, my aim's off tonight.
For real. Okay. Yeah, we don't want to go biting the artery. That would be bad.
Oh, Reinhard.
Finally! Finally! I got it! Yay!
Me too, Maxie. I feel as though I have set up a mail server.
What do you... What do you mean?
Reinhard, mein Sucke Fledermaus. Ich bin so müde, sexy zu sein.
I need to work on my biting skills. Does anyone want to volunteer?
It's not enough. We have a gallery of villains to look out for, but now we could be infiltrated by a shape changer. I can't even tell if any of you are acting strange because you've been replaced, or because this group is full of weirdos.
Perfect.
I will get us a taxi cab, Liebchen. Und du, cowboy? Next time we will talk about that thing you mentioned earlier.
Oh no, the pegging. Look what you got yourself into, Samuel. Otta.
Oh yeah, sure thing, fella. Maybe I can tell you some Eisenhower stories.
Fireball.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because Sam's old enough to have actually known about Eisenhower.
Now
Go
that
for
I've
it.
had something to drink, I should probably get to my coffin.
Yeah, Samuel, about that, where's your coffin hanging out?
Samuel, wait a moment.
You
I
couldn't
see
wait
got
10
your fill.
seconds before
Are
being
you
an
ready now?
absolute freak.
Yeah, I figure I could use some shut-eye. I locked up my coffin over at the storage center.
Over at the storage center? I guess that makes sense. Hey guys, don't worry about me. I just need a storage room for my moving boxes. It has my mattress. Yes, mattress inside.
Storage center. Please, you can use my guest coffin. I insist. You must be well rested for the challenges ahead.
Guess I got a big night tomorrow, huh? I should get a good day's sleep.
Wonderful. Please, follow me.
Well, dang. This is mighty...
Dang! The coffin has a TV and everything.
Let's see what's on TV. I remember this movie.
Oh, of course. It's like Nosferatu in on the thing. I mean, maybe.
I'm not sure I should stay up watching movies, though.
Yeah, no, probably not. If you got a big day tomorrow.
Well, ain't much else to do in here. I think it's about time I hit the hay. Hope I'm cut out for all this.
You are, but just like me getting my internship, it's gonna take some getting used to.
Samuel, good evening. I hope you slept well.
Dang, TV coffin, that must be real ritzy, real expensive.
Like the dead, as they say.
Yeah, because you are kind of dead.
I was hoping to save you some breakfast, but I've already sent them on their way.
Will that make you have a goober face when looking at it? Probably.
Oh, that's all right. I'm still pretty full from last night. Them goth types were practically throwing themselves at me.
Of course, they're goths. That's what they do.
I am not surprised. Perhaps I should be concerned that some of my guests will follow you home.
We have fans, Samuel.
Well, gosh, if I still had mortal circulation, I'd be blushing.
Fair point.
Why are you so embarrassed, Samuel?
Ah, hell. Guess we should just save it for therapy, huh? We're gonna get started now?
If you like.
Yay, therapy.
Keep going. Let loose, Doc.
Very well. Let's start with the first question any therapist asks. Then.
Yes, I did actually. I had a comic made.
Why is becoming a therapist so important to you?
After this little section, I can probably actually show it to you, little monsters, if you want to see it. Okay, I like this question that they ask. What brought you to me? Why is becoming a therapist so important to you? This is a really good question to know for yourself. Anyone who's becoming a therapist, this is like the one thing you should know without a doubt.
Well, gosh, I remember what it was like. Being all angry, hungry, and scared all the time. It ain't no way to live. When I see vampires acting the way I used to, I just need to show them there's more to unlife.
Yeah, that's kind of like me. That's kind of how I started my whole VTuber thing, and kind of what motivates the counseling thing is I see a lot of people with disabilities and a lot of LGBTQ folks out there struggling, and I'm like, well, because I've struggled, I want to help them. And I feel this need to help them and show them and stuff. But I'm also recognizing that that's like, part of that is a unhelpful way of thinking about it, because it's like edging on savior complex, which is like, oh, I need to be the one to do all this and that, and I must be the one to show them the way, which I think is where Andromahos is gonna get to on this. So I think just like the other labeling and how we use language for ourselves, I think just like that, I think we also have to be willing to look at, okay, so I have a passion and a reason for doing something, but I need to make sure that I frame it in a way that is healthy for myself and not something that I will not ever be able to achieve.
And why is that up to you?
Like I said, look what he's just doing there. He says, and why is it up to you? Why is it up to you to essentially save them from the suffering that he went through? And essentially, yeah, so it's the same thing. It's like the desire to help is not what's negative. That's a good thing, and that's what motivates us to get into the field. But we must frame our goals for ourselves. so that they don't read like an impossible task. Like, I must help everyone who is disabled. I must help everyone who is LGBT. I must be the one to show the way. That's what I think Andromahos is going to get at there. It's like, it's the magnitude of responsibility you are putting on yourself that's going to become problematic, right? When really the goal should be worded something like, or could be worded something like, because we're going to get into shooting on yourself here in a minute. The goal could be like, I'd like to help as many people as possible. And I'd like to be able to help them from my unique seat in this world, because I feel like I wasn't seen very often, and I feel like maybe that would help other people who wouldn't normally go to counseling. Maybe having a counselor like me would help them. Okay? That's slightly different than saying, oh no, I'm responsible for my, like, this entire existence, right? I could Bob Ross it, but you know what I might do? Instead of making my father figure, I might make my mentor. Because my VTuber manga character and myself, I still need a mentor. So it could be that just like our cowboy here, it could be that I meet a mentor who is in the line of work that I'm in, and so maybe I could write something like that so that I put into the universe the kind of mentor that I want to create. Could also evolve the father figure into Andromahos after a while. Yes. And that would mean that I would evolve my father figure to match more of my actual father, who is very wise, very Andromahos-like, and not so driven and trying to do all these things. My actual father is very sage-like. He's very calm. He's very wise. And it is really why I go to him for a lot of advice.
You, of all people, know how lost our kind can be. Preying on the weak, dating mortal high schoolers.
Dating mortal high schoolers? Is that a Fang swipe at Twilight? Yes.
Gotta make them see their potential. That's what I'm
Yeah.
here for. I know it.
Yeah. And I'm just like Sam. I want people to see the potential of disabled people. But I'm not the only one who can do that. And that should not be the only reason that I'm becoming a therapist. It's a big one. But I think what Andromahos is going to say is that's admirable, but it's also getting into this, like, unhealthy savior complex zone thing.
That is a lot of responsibility to place on yourself.
Yes. Okay, so that's where I'm going. Is like, and I'm having to learn this in real time. I'm having to learn the difference between having a passion and having that passion morph into a responsibility that might become soul crushing.
You got a funny look in your eye. Am I doing one of them distortion things?
You are most perceptive, yes. Perhaps you can tell me what it is.
Well, Cully, I knew I was gonna like it. I mean, how could I not? And what's funny is, I had this game on my wish list, like, for years. I think right when I started my mental health therapy program. So there was a part of me who already knew what I wanted to be doing and that I had an interest in this. But it took me until now to have the space, the spoons, and the energy to do this finally. And I don't think I would be doing this game in the same way if I weren't training to become a therapist. So everything in its perfect time.
When you say you are here to make vampires see the world differently, in what way are you distorting reality?
It's gonna have to be saloon thinking, right? That I'm gonna be the only one to do it, and if I'm not, then I'm a goddamn failure. That's what I think it is. Actually, no. I would say that's a control fallacy, because I'm like, I've got to have control over helping them see differently. I've got to be the one to make sure that they live a better life. I'm gonna go with that one.
Well, I guess that's a control fallacy, right? I can't assume I'll be able to help other vampires the way I was helped.
Right. So that's the other thing, is as much with our good intentions as we may have, as therapists, we shouldn't assume that we know that a client's exact experience is the same as ours. I think what Andromahos is going to get into here is, while other vampires may be similar to Sam, he's going to be a more effective therapist when he can kind of step back from that over-identification with his own pain and say, my pain taught me lessons that I want to use as medicine to help others, but I need to remember that not everyone has had the same experience. So I may not be able to help them in the exact way that I imagine, because we're all very different, even if we are all vampires or LGBT people or disabled people. We may all have similar experiences, but it's important to remember that it's not all the same. Yes, I love the developers so much for this, especially because there is so much stuff floating around about therapy and, kind of a misusing of a pejorative, oh, you need therapy, oh, what's wrong with you, go get a therapist, that kind of stuff. That doesn't help. That only continues to make therapy something people don't want to do, because they feel that it's punitive or shameful or any of those things. So I think it's really important that the developers have made this approachable and they've made it something you can interact with. And I think, as a VTuber, I would use this game to kind of warm people up to the idea of therapy. So that it's not just this clinical person psychoanalyzing you, but to really say, hey, this is what therapy could be like. So that if they are wanting therapy, they can maybe look at it and say, oh, so you mean I wouldn't just be going in there and getting diagnosed with all these, quote, problems or whatever their belief is about it.
Very good, Samuel. Control fallacies are hard to avoid when one feels strongly about something.
This is true. Less like the Until Dawn guy for Fear Factor and more like this vamp, because therapy shouldn't be scary. Something that's therapeutic might be painful, but it shouldn't be frightening in the way that you can't build trust. See, the problem with the Until Dawn psychiatrist or psychologist is he's not built for warmth. He's built to be an antagonist. And I don't think that's a very good look for mental health professionals of any kind, whether that's a counselor, psychiatrist, psychologist, any of that. Because the reality is, our main goal is to help you. Our main goal is to support you. We are a co-adventurer. Oh my goodness, we have another raid. Cybrinova, welcome in, dear. It's been forever. How are you? Oops. Did not mean to move that. Welcome in. I hope you had an amazing stream. Can we get a shout out for Cybri, please? Another raid.
Hello, beautiful.
I know. I've just been getting super, super lucky today. Thank you for sharing your community with me. I hope you had a great stream. Since I am working to become a mental health therapist, and I'm sort of in my vampire tiefling mode right now for this game in particular, I thought we would give it a try. Wild Astarian spotting. Hell yes, we love Astarian here. I have a lot of sound redeems for Astarian because he is just best boy. So anyway, we are playing Vampire Therapist, which is sort of
The pleasure is all mine.
a visual novel-esque game that's sort of based around the therapeutic experience, but with vampires. And I thought it would be fun to just play because I've learned a lot about becoming a counselor and becoming a therapist. So I wanted to play it kind of with, what I've learned in mind. Amanda, welcome in, dear. Good to see you.
Cheese for everyone!
Oh my gosh. What? Okay, let's get on. Let's get on with it.
Your fate is not to transform every vampire you ever meet, even those who are your clients. You will do what you can do, and that is enough.
And that's what one of my best teachers in my program says all the time, is that sometimes it's enough. And what you can do is enough. Of course, we hope that we help our clients to transform and that they live magical lives from going into therapy, but we also need to be careful that we don't burden ourselves with unreasonable responsibility for client outcomes, in the sense that we can only help our clients as much as we can help them. The rest is up to them. And I think it's really interesting that you have started a degree in psychology. That is really cool, Cybri. Congratulations. Good luck. It's a lot of work. I've learned that a master's degree is much, much, much more demanding than a bachelor's degree. And yes, this is a pretty perfect game for my channel, so I'm glad to be playing it. This will probably take us more than a couple of episodes, so this might be a weekly thing, or a weekendly thing.
But I am eager to learn how you develop this desire to help our kin find a different way of thinking.
I'm going for a PhD. As my wise father used to say, yeah, PhD piled higher and deeper. Good luck, dear. I've had some people say, Tiffy, you should go for your PhD in counselor education and supervision. And I'm like, maybe, but first, internship.
Well, like I told you when I first V-mailed you, I was a
V-mail? I still
when I first became a vampire.
Nasty son of a bitch. Well, yeah. But everyone kind of starts out just cranky.
When I look back and see what a no-account piece of shit I was, I ain't nothing but embarrassed.
Right. But that's where you started. Samuel, this is what Andy means. This is what Andy means. That's labeling. And yes, you started out there, but look at what you learned. An internship is actually required for my current field. Samesies. And I have yet to land one. They're like, sorry, TV, we're full already.
It all seems pretty stupid to me now. Here we are living forever and all we can do is kill. It's the dumbest thing I ever did hear.
Well, but that's kind of what motivated you to do something different, eh, Samuel?
I am going to stop you for a moment. Stupid, no account piece of shit, nasty son of a bitch, dumbest thing.
That's a lot of labeling there, Samuel. For me, I just don't have the time for it yet because what? Yeah, because internships are basically like a full-time or part-time job in some cases, so I can understand.
Do you hear the way you are talking about yourself?
With respect, sir, I earned all them names.
You did, but you're not appreciating the Samuel that exists.
I didn't think of nobody but myself.
Pretend you are my therapist. If I sat here and called myself a no-account piece of shit, what would you tell me?
I'd say you were doing some labeling. And I guess I'd tell you to look at yourself a little more kindly.
Yep. And I mean, no, that's not excusing past behavior, but it's developing self-compassion. Saying, yes, I did things I'm not proud of. I was a person I'm not proud of. And I can have kindness for myself because I am improving as a person. I am becoming a different person now.
Extend the same compassion to yourself then, Samuel.
Correct.
How are you
Compassion.
to move on from being a nasty son of a bitch if you are labeling yourself?
Basically. And this is what I've seen with a lot of those prison documentaries and all those other things. It's like, yes, these people did some really horrible things. But if they're never allowed to grow a different person, and they always call themselves killer, murderer, rapist, abuser, they may well have done those things. But as a counselor, it would be my job to sit in front of those people and say, yes, and you are growing a person who is artistic, who is kind, who is generous, all that stuff. Yeah, the hiring process is pretty difficult, and there are things with AI that are making that more difficult. But I think there's not a lot of compassion and warmth in a lot of corporate spaces right now. And I think that's like one of the biggest barriers is not a lot of warmth, not a lot of compassion, not a lot of tolerance for different people. I'm hoping I can earn this degree and specialize in neurodiversity in adults as a neurodivergent adult. That is a noble goal, and that's kind of similarly why I'm becoming a therapist, because there's a lot of stuff around disability and disabled people that is just not very well serviced in the counseling field. We pretty much get forgotten as a diversity group, and people with disabilities or those who struggle with any kind of chronic illness, they deserve to have supports too. And I believe we could do a little bit better in supporting and acknowledging the needs of people who are living with chronic illness or disabilities or neurodivergence or anything like that. And beyond just a diagnosis, by the way.
If you wish to be a guide to other vampires, you must start with compassion for them and for yourself.
Absolutely correct. This right here, if you do not have compassion for yourself, if you do not have head is off to the side. What side? How about now? I actually got to write a research essay on adult ADHD through a combination of research papers from my research writing class. Okay, well, I'm gonna do the best I can. I'm gonna try not to have my neck snap and like, since I can't always keep it from doing that. What do you call the constant search for validation since you can't give any towards yourself? I would say that's a self-worth issue. I would say that's tied to self-worth. That you are unable to conceive of or experience the worth in yourself. So you search for it in other people. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you for letting me know. But yeah, that's what I would say. Because in my experience, anytime that I used to look for validation, I don't really do that very much anymore. But it was typically tied to a self-confidence issue and also a self-worth issue. That because I don't feel those things and acknowledge those things in myself, I might constantly look for a sounding board in other people. Now, this is different from getting genuine compliments from other people. I think that's an important thing and people need that. But if you need constant reassurance, that to me could be like a self-confidence thing, a self-worth thing. It could even be an anxiety thing. Because sometimes people who have various things to do with anxiety, they can also struggle with more continual need for validation, aka reassurance. And some people have a hard time moving beyond that because they were not shown or were not given the opportunity to experience themselves as a worthy, confident, capable human being. But yeah, this is one of the most important things. If you do not have compassion for yourself, including your flaws, how are you going to be able to sit with another flawed human being and say, I understand it's scary, I understand this is what you've been through, but you're welcome here and I care for you. And I care for the person you are, and I care for the person you are looking to become. And if you can't do that for yourself or another person, then counseling may not be the profession for you. Biggest stem is having difficulty finding value in the things they are doing. That can be very tricky. Especially in like VTubing, for example. There are a lot of people that are like, well, because I don't have the numbers. Because I'm not making as much money. Because I'm not having successful subathons or whatever it is. Some people start thinking, well, then it has no value. Or because I'm not as popular as other people, it has no value. And that's, like, in that perspective, I understand that. But it's also, there are things that a person has to look deeply at and say, is there something else beyond these monetary or these social things that give it value to me? Do I value the learning or the creative pursuit? And for me, I think I've always said a version of this. And if I haven't, I would say this is my ethos now. But I would say I like it, VTubing specifically, because of the creative aspect of it. Because I can represent myself however I want. I don't have to be limited by the way that I look or the way that I can move in real life. And I think it's always important to keep tabs on that. To say, why are you doing a thing? For me, it was because I've gone my entire life not knowing I had ADHD and ended up developing major depressive disorder. and generalized anxiety as a result. I'm not putting blame on my parents for not getting me diagnosed properly, because I grew up in an era where they thought only boys could have ADHD. Yeah, and I can validate that for you. Not that you need any validation, but that's what I have learned in my counseling courses as well. That there was a bias to, only boys have ADHD, or we see more cases of autism spectrum disorder in boys and that kind of thing. And so it was very common in the 90s and 2000s, even when young women and girls were displaying these signs, they just wouldn't get diagnosed. And often when you don't have a diagnosis, it goes back to those label things, right? Some people will use a diagnosis as an excuse, but there are people in the disability community for whom a diagnosis is not only life-saving, but it's affirming. It is affirming for them about what they went through. And that part of that, quote, label, that diagnosis, needs to be acknowledged for the positive aspect, but also recognize that, hey, we shouldn't just use our diagnoses as excuse for other behaviors, right? And it is what you're saying, Collie. It's like, sure, there are some professional gamers, but not all gamers who love to game and find value in it need to be spectacular at it. I suck at games personally. Vampires suck, by the way. I'm not very good at them compared to a more professional gamer, but that's okay. It was never my dream to be a professional gamer. It's my dream to be a funny little VTuber character on the internet and give value to people who find value in it. And I would create for myself even then. And yeah, high number streamers also have their own issues in a way, right? And it's just, it depends on the community, but it's just one of those things. Like, I'm a person, yes, my streams are not always as popular as they used to be in terms of numbers, but at the same time, if I'm not grateful for what I have, then what am I going to grow from? Like, people are much more willing to support someone who is grateful for the support they have, rather than someone who is just a glass half empty. I learned that women and girls often present ADHD in the inattentive subtype when I got my diagnosis, hence the lack of diagnosis back then, because I never presented as hyperactive, which is what everyone kind of thinks about when they think about ADHD. They think about the hyperactive subtype and not just the inattentive one, which is, it's there, but if you make an assumption about it being more a certain way, well, you're not going to see it, are you? So that's why also as clinicians we're taught in diagnosis to be very careful about our diagnostics process and to go through a number of layers with it before coming up with something that for sure we can say the client might have. And for me as a clinician, I would always encourage a second opinion, and I would encourage the client to get involved. If you are seeking a definition to the concept, it's usually validation seeking, yes. Yes, which I might have totally blown past on that.
Now that you've gotten all that horrible name-calling out of the way, please tell me, how did you find your sense of purpose?
Well, I was on the run, you see. The Wild West was ending, and the Pinkertons were starting to get the better of my gang.
The Pinkertons, hey yo! Are these the same Pinkertons that D&D sent after a guy? Those Pinkertons? Are you telling me they have, like, connections to the Old West? If so, yikes.
I went into hiding and found a strange group of folks out in the country. They knew I was an outlaw right away, but they didn't judge me for it.
Suffering from that, of course, so used to getting it through pity, mostly. I can understand that. I think those would be some very, like, valuable things to kind of sit down and think on. And if you would like to have someone to talk to about it, you know where I am. I'm not a fully licensed therapist yet, so I can't give you what would be called, you know, real therapy, but I can certainly listen to you. And we can certainly have a conversation about it. And it might maybe at least help illuminate some more stuff for you if you think that would be beneficial. I went through 3 non-stimulant medications to try to help with some tendencies before I was prescribed Adderall, but I still need to see a therapist for stuff that medication can help with. Exactly right. And that's a good way to think about it, because for me as a therapist, I'm not really medication center. I would much rather try to see if there are things we can adjust outside of the condition, whether it's ADHD or something else. I want to definitely work on the therapeutic aspect, of course, but then also, you know, medication is a part of that. But if we don't also help with the emotional, social, spiritual components, then the medication is only going to help potentially with one part, but it's not going to address the other sore spots or the other difficulty or the other entanglement that might be going on. And I kind of hate to see it, but there's a lot of, Renfield is on my Discord, so it will be very easy for us to chit-chat. I hate to see it, but there are some groups of people who are like, you know, just medicate a person and just leave it at that. And I am not a fan of just doing that to people. I think I'm in a Discord with Cybernova, maybe, I think. Like, I've tried therapy through BetterHelp way back in the day. First mistake, but I feel that I would benefit better from in-person sessions instead. You know, Cybri, if you wouldn't mind messaging me after stream, I really, really, really want to hear from you what went on with the telemental health, better health thing. I want to hear about that, because for me and some of my realistic physical limitations, I'm probably going to have to do more virtual sessions and stuff. So I'd really like to hear from you in your personal experience privately, what didn't work for you, so that I can take that into my learning as a counselor in training, so that when I'm up there doing the best that I can, I'm not unintentionally doing things that people find unhelpful. So, Reaper, I did have a Discord command, but I took it down because I had some pretty malicious people getting into my server and causing problems. So, unfortunately, I had to remove just having my Discord hanging out there like a booby, because people were just not being trustworthy. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great, Cybri. If you wanna do that, take your time. There's no rush.
They didn't even care that I was a vampire. They welcomed me like a friend, even shared their blood with me.
Yeah, that would be fine, Renfield. Do whatever you feel comfortable with. And see, here's the other thing. Not everybody is going to welcome you, just like not everybody welcomed Sam. But you're going to eventually find people who are going to welcome you. Whatever and whoever you are. And you just gotta keep going until you find those people, because I know it seems like they're not out there. Trust me, they are. And that's the mindset I have to keep about my practicum and internship, is all of the places that said no were not the best place for me. They were probably not going to be compassionate enough to have someone like me in their group, right? So that's what I'm trying to embody. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it's heartbreaking. Yes, it sort of feels like sometimes, oh, I'll never find my place, right? But what did we already learn? That's a kind of thinking, right? That's going to diminish any possibility of something ever happening if you think it will never happen. You know, so for my process, I'm just keeping an eye out and keeping the positive energy that eventually I will find someone who takes a look at me and says, Tiffy, you have a lot of skill and a lot of warmth to give.
They taught me how to appreciate the beauty of the night, and I started seeing things I'd never noticed before.
And that's also the gift of having the right group of people to support you. They can help you see things you never saw before, appreciate things you never noticed. Oh my goodness, those emos, Rupert. That's me when I'm hungry. Alrighty, Renfield, I will take a look at it when I'm done for the night and see what I can do.
They taught me my letters, philosophy, and how to question things instead of being scared of them.
That's a good point. How to question things and engage with new information instead of being scared and closed off.
I think about them every day of my own life. They somehow freed themselves of all the judgments of the time and were better off for it.
And that's a key too. Someone like me who has a lot of uniqueness is going to take someone or a lot of someones that are free of the pervasive judgments and cruelty. Because that's kind of the thing. You really just have to hold out hope that you're going to run into people who are not part of the same awful, stinky, horrible soup. Which, oh my lord, speaking of hungry, you've been having a lot of food troubles, dear. Yes, I have. I've been having a lot of trouble keeping my food down, and so that's been pretty difficult. But I'm working my way through it and also trying to stay positive about that.
These must have been the 19th century American transcendentalists.
Transcendentalists, yes. Do any of you little monsters know who the transcendentalists were in 19th century America? The Daddy on Game Andromahos. I know transcendental meditation thanks to David Lynch, which is a good thing to know. But briefly, transcendentalism was a movement in 19th century America where there was a lot of experimentation with Eastern thought forms about meditation, kind of ascension, oneness, awareness with all living things. Kind of this awareness of like more spirituality that had more Eastern and spiritualist sort of overtones and much less fully Christian views on religion. So it was a very interesting time in American history. It was a time where thoughts were very much open and there was a lot of exploration and openness of thought and questioning barriers and judgments. So while I'm waiting for my schedule to be open to allow therapy, I'm trying to learn to cope with certain things on my own for now. I think that's commendable that you're doing that. I hope that you don't have to wait too long for support. I hope that you know, even though we haven't talked much recently, I hope you know that you can reach out to me if you just want to talk about some things, or if there's anything you just want to be able to vent or anything. I'm more than happy to have my door open, because I am working on schoolwork and stuff. I'm not always good at replying to people right away, but if you ever feel like, gee, I'd really like to talk to somebody about this, I'm open, Cybree. So if you ever feel like that would be helpful, just know that the option exists.
Yes, sir. I'm glad I died when I did, because their like just don't exist no more.
This is true also. And that's what kind of makes me sad is, you know, in a couple of times we've had amazing moments in America where there was more emphasis on free thinking, free love, you know, learning from other cultures, working on oneself, being open and loving and kind. And it just makes me sad because currently, where we are right now, we are kind of the very opposite of that, and it makes me sad. Which is why I do my best to be someone who can be very loving and kind and be different from all the judgments and all the stuff we have going on in this time.
Once my community died out, I started walking. That was something else they taught me how to do. There ain't nothing like having a walk and a think. I walked in nature for about 90 years.
Wow, a 90-year walk in nature. I'm sure my dad would be very much like that. My dad is very much a believer in the healing power of nature and the wisdom of nature.
I guess I was kind of selfish, though. I should have been.
Sam, that's not selfish.
Help me.
Sam, you were not ready to help other people yet. You had to work on yourself. You had to figure it out. You're on time, dear.
Why?
Why waste 90 years walking when I should have been helping others? Seems pretty obvious to me.
Sam.
I did a lot of good in that time.
Sam, you didn't waste that time. That would be like me saying, why did I wait until I was freaking 37 to start on my master's degree? I wasn't ready. I was working on other things. I had to resolve other things. So I had to answer that same question when I decided to become a master's student, because I had a lot of people in my family and friends that were like, Tiffy, why do you want to waste that time doing all that? You're starting late. Aren't you too late to be doing that? And I had to just say, I'm ready now. Had I tried this any earlier in my life, I probably would have given up on it because I wasn't mature enough. I had not lived enough life yet to understand, like, what more I might want out of life. Yeah, I think we all sort of kind of are dealing with a lot of what's going on right now. But see, it's not wasted time. Because in Sam's example, sure, he can look and say, oh, I could have been helping so many people. Yeah, you could have, but you weren't ready. Look, if an older person can start a successful fast food chain at the age of 40, why can't we start late and find success too? Exactly. We absolutely can. I don't think it's bad if you start late. You know what's worse? If you start never. Which is where, like, my mom is half the time. It's like, you could choose to do something, but you never choose to do it, so.
But your should turns that which you could find fulfilling into a duty. You create an extrinsic motivator. So
this is what I said earlier about shoulding on yourself. This is also a counseling thing. Saying that you should be doing something kind of just takes the motivation, the desire out of it, like he said, and turns it into a job, something that you feel like you must do instead of want to do.
Truth statements are another cognitive distortion, something created by your own mind. Nature asks almost nothing of you.
Yeah, I'll be graduating when I'm nearly 40, but I'll have earned something out of all of it. Exactly right, and that's where I'm going with my counseling degree. I'm like, yes, my 20s and most of my 30s were pretty messy, but they were what I needed to really, really sort myself out. I'll have earned a career I can be proud of. And for me, I'll have earned and honed skills that I think I've always had in some measure, but have decided to make something more of. And see, that's Renfield, that's exactly why we need to, or we should give ourselves, or hopefully have the opportunity. I won't say should, but this is like a good reason why it's important to give ourselves opportunities to talk to other people, maybe from other parts of life, so that we don't feel so ashamed or so alone or so different about ourselves. So that we can reflect on some stuff and say, well, maybe what I'm going through isn't that bad. Collie, I really don't know what to do about it, honey. It's partly because of my setup right now that I can't really keep an eye on my model as much as I normally do when I'm doing ASMR stuff, where I can keep an eye on, like, how it's moving and whatnot. I really don't know what to tell you, other than I'll try to keep myself oriented. But I think... Oh, yeah, go ahead, take your time. Grab a snack, get some water. That goes for everybody else in chat. All the rest of you little monsters, if you need to go grab a snack, grab a blanket, grab a drink. It's mostly because I'm like, okay. It's mostly because chat is like way over here. Okay, well, this is an interesting, question. I mean, I take care of my mods very well. My castle is kept very clean. My little monsters and my mods are very well fed. They're very well looked after. But please feel free to ask my little monsters what they think of how well Mom takes care of them.
Even if your should comes from a place of good, it creates undue pressure.
My dad has tried to push me to find a career in art, but so far it has led me to dead-end jobs that I despise because I never got to work in the graphic design part of the printing industry. And the job I have currently is the closest to that. It is in a facility full of incompetency. Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna just ignore the rest of that and just stay on task.
And what do we do once we are pressured? We resent the shoulds. We procrastinate.
And we don't love what we're doing anymore, so...
Procrastinate.
Well, yeah, because the minute we say, well, I should stream, I should write, I should do homework, I should, that's a lot of should. And so it really makes it not as fun.
You got that right. Why do today what you could do next century?
That's kind of what I noticed. In like my 20s and 30s, like I can do writing to make a little bit of money, but it kind of takes the fun and passion out of it when it becomes like a job that's in someone else's hands. Kept somewhat clean, but more mod gals might be needed to keep it cleaner. Yes, more monster girls to add to my mansion. And the basement is clean and sparkly. Which is actually something I learned is possible in one of my psych classes. That's really fun when that happens, when you're able to learn something like that and you're like, wow, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. Should statements remove the intrinsic joy from that which you find fulfilling?
Because it's no longer something you're doing out of joy, like you said, you're doing it from obligation. And that's gonna automatically do some things. Okay, I think I figured out a way where I can look at the top of my head now and still read what I'm doing, so maybe my head won't like move around too much or like kink to one side. Yes, I do feed him very well, and he gets a lot of privileges.
Hold on though, ain't there some things we really should do?
Yes, such as the things you need to do to stay alive and healthy. Those things, absolutely should do them. But like, don't start, the problem is when you start doing that with things that are that the whole point of doing them should be to have fun, or, well, there goes should again, but you get what I mean. It's when you start applying that to things that are not, like, necessary to do, right? It's when you start doing that you start sucking the life out of something that is a source of joy, or needs to stay a source of joy.
course, there are things we must do. But nature herself tells us what they are. We invent the rest. Here, let me give you an exercise.
Biggest being living with her and serving her without being kicked out. Yes.
Listen closely. See whether you can find the should statement that is a distortion.
Okay, little monsters, let's see if we can do this.
Vampire dentist. You know what they say. If you have bad fangs, you get bad blood.
Well, I'm going to say that's pretty accurate because needing to go to the dentist is something that does need to happen. It's good for your health. So I'm going to say that one's definitely not the distortion. Even with this extra part here, this is very possible because of not having good teeth. Okay, so I'm going to say this is not necessarily the distortion here.
I should drink blood today.
Neither is that one because that is a physical need. Not much happened.
I should take my blood partner Crimson out on a date.
That one's the distortion. Because that's turning a date with your partner into something you should do, into something you want to do. So I'm going to mark that one as the should statement.
Saying you should take Crimson out on a date is a should statement. You've turned something you want to do into something you have to do.
Yep, pretty much. Why is my chat being weird? It's not letting me read all the things. I hate that. Hence why I'm keeping VTubing and whatnot as simply a hobby instead of making it a career. I'm kind of in the same boat right now. Would I like to increase my audience? Yes. Would I like to be able to make more of a living off of doing this? Yes. But I'm also happier not having to stress myself out about, oh, I should be more popular, I should be making more money, should. It's much easier for me to do this right now because I like the creative potential of it and not having to worry all the time about becoming, a really successful streamer. It's like, it's not that I wouldn't want to have that for myself. It's just, I'm working on so many other things that I also enjoy and that I also care about. I don't think it's very valuable to pressure myself if that's going to make me want to not create content anymore or not feel like I'm good enough, all that stuff. And this game is pretty good. So we will be doing this in a couple of episodes. Because I know we're not going to get through all of it tonight. And I think after this next section, we'll probably bookmark it there.
That's right, Samuel. I couldn't be more pleased with you. Your time in nature was clearly well spent.
Yeah. I think this game has a lot of good potential, and I think it serves a great purpose for doing what it's trying to do. And it's actually really fun.
Thanks, I suppose. But if you don't mind my saying so, I hope you're treating that mortal lady right.
I'm sure he is, Sam.
Thank you. Please, ask her yourself.
Oh, see? He's so confident. He can just go, ask her. Ask her how I'm treating her. Not especially, but recent global events have been testing us. I've been reminded how lucky I am to be around TV IRL. I've known her for about, 23 years now? Yes. 23 amazing, difficult but wonderful years, and I hope for many more. Keeps creative burnout at bay. When I'm adopting, I'm going to do this because I want to do it mindset instead of I need to do this.
What an awkward
Because I need to. I relate to that. You've been treating me fairly well. I've been kind of a tough case to deal with right now with all of my, like, stomach issues and stuff. So I recognize, like, I've been a little bit of a challenge for you, but you've been doing really well, all things considered, with all the challenging stuff and everything that's meant. So I think you know how much I love and appreciate you, and if you don't, I'm going to show you later.
I imagine she would share her blood with you. You look like her type.
Oh my. We're talking about sharing blood now. Ooh. Alrighty, sounds good, Cybri. Have a great dinner. Good to see you again, dear. I hope we talk again soon, and maybe I'll see you again. Better than the firestorm that is the world. Anything else is more peaceful, yeah.
Hold on. I've only been in Europe for a couple of days. I ain't gonna go after my teacher's girlfriend.
Oh my goodness.
She does what she wishes, and that is why I chose her as my blood partner.
See, independence is not a bad thing. Not in women or anybody else. But I think it's like you're just gonna have that understanding between your partner or partners about, you know, everybody's personalities and everybody's wants and needs. And if you don't have that in order, it's not gonna work very well.
Samuel, even if it beats no longer, you have a good heart. I think you will be an excellent therapist.
You will, Samuel. And I was feeling really good because actually one of my therapists, or one of my teachers who is also a therapist, actually said that they love my work and that I will make a very good therapist and that they're going to support me in making sure that I get my practicum and internship. So I'm going to need to touch base with them sometime this month and just say, hey, do you want to write a letter of recommendation? All this other kind of stuff. But yeah, it feels good to have a mentor say to you, you have some pretty good skills and a pretty good heart.
So far, that good heart of mine hasn't amounted to much, but I'm willing to give it my best shot.
You are uncomfortable with praise, aren't you, Samuel?
Yes, every time I say something positive.
You find a way to negate it.
I know people like that. They drive me a little bit bonkers. Well, it's mostly just because I'm like making sure to align the windows so I can see where my head is instead of trying, like, I don't know what was going on with the window, but it was make me like trying to like really lean over to look at something.
I just don't think I should be doing any bragging. I spent my first 50 years killing, spent the next 90 walking in the woods.
Samuel, you're way too hard on yourself. And I'm way too hard on myself, so I think I need to sit there and take a look at that.
Since then, but I ain't no saint, Auntie.
No one is, Sam.
I did not say you were. Having met several so-called saints, I can attest that none of them were either.
Man, to walk in the woods for 90 years. Yeah, he walked the entire continental United States, apparently. No, it doesn't, actually. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he were mistaken as one. Oh. Funny.
I understand your discomfort, Samuel. I, too, have done terrible things that I cannot erase. But is erasing the good I have done worthwhile?
No. And that's exactly why, as a therapist, yeah, a person may have done some not very good things in their life, but it's kind of my job to say, but you have good things. You have good things in you, and those are not worth throwing out with the bathwater of those things you are not proud of.
Well, I guess when you put it like that, it sounds kind of silly.
It's another cognitive distortion, one that mortal psychologists call disqualifying the positive.
Yeah, basically just saying, well, it doesn't matter that this person has positive qualities. It doesn't matter that they're doing good things. Now they did all these bad things, so the bad things went out, is basically it.
I understand that the actions of your past are difficult to bear, but what we are here to do is accept reality, with both its positive and negative aspects.
Yep. Because from there, by acknowledging both, from there you can make a truly holistic decision about where do I want to go now. Yes, I did those things in the past. Yes, those things that I did had those results. And I've also done good things. So knowing both the good and the bad that have happened in my life, how do I want to take those things to move forward in a way that is acknowledging of my past, but also embracing my good and the possibility for a rewarding and redeeming future. That is what I would want to give my clients, especially those struggling with some dark or difficult parts of themselves, is I would want to say, but because you're here wanting to work on yourself, you have goodness in you. Because truly not good people do not want to change. They have no thought of working on themselves.
I am not saying that you should disqualify your negative actions, but merely note when you disqualify the positive ones. Let us try an exercise. See whether you can challenge me when I disqualify my positive deeds.
Oh boy, let's see what we can find here.
I am Andromachos, one of the most powerful vampires alive.
Okay, that's definitely not it.
Before I became the vampire I am now, I did exceptionally terrible things.
That's not it either. I don't think it is. Let me see what the last one is.
I have defiled the innocent. I have killed countless people. The good I now do pales in comparison to the evil I have done.
Okay, that one's gonna be it. Because he's saying basically, yes, I've done good, but it will never, never outweigh the bad that I've done. And that is disqualifying all the good work he has done.
That's the one. You're literally disqualifying the positive by comparing it to the evil stuff you've done.
Everybody has goodness within them, but some just don't see it. And so it takes a good friend to help that person see the goodness. Yes. And sometimes it's very hard for people who have done very harmful things to accept goodness. And so as therapists with those kind of clients, we really have to be willing to hold them and say, we understand how difficult this is, but we believe in the goodness that you have, and you must have some to want to be in here and change.
Well done, Samuel. I believe the recognition of this distortion will serve you well when you start to see clients tomorrow.
And we're seeing clients tomorrow, guys. Yay. Are we ready? Maybe. We might do a little bit more practice, but wow. Seeing clients tomorrow night. Ooh, boy.
Whoa, tomorrow? I only just started learning these here cognitive distortion things.
I think this is where the... Yeah.
I will, of course, be with you. You needn't worry. I can sense your instincts and will help you.
See, that's what a good That's what a good mentor should do. They should be like, don't worry, I'm gonna be there with you. I'm gonna help you. And you'll be fine. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The checkpoint on this for tonight, for this game, could be after practices. I hope my head tilt is not doing tilt things now. Oh, I fixed it.
But tomorrow, I just don't feel ready yet.
I understand, Samuel. I'm probably gonna feel like that when I finally get my internship. I'm gonna be like,
My friend, we are never truly ready.
Exactly.
But if it would ease your concerns, we can practice with further examples. Would that be helpful to you?
Yeah, I think we should practice.
Yeah, I think I could use the help.
Very well, Samuel. Let's try some examples. I will give you a statement, and you find the cognitive distortion in it.
Okay, so, there's a lot similar to counseling as there is to being a streamer. No one's ever really ready, in most cases, for their first stream. But if you don't ever just get in the thick of it, you can practice and do a lot of stuff beforehand. And that's good. That can help. Welcome in, Hellcat. Welcome in, dear. Welcome to the Brood. We are just playing some Vampire Therapist today. Hope you are doing well. So we really just have to get in and start doing it, and that's one of the reasons why my program does have practicum and internship, because you can do all the learning from books in the world that you want, but there's no real substitute for actual practice.
I am far sexier than movie vampires. Therefore, I should be a movie star.
Oh my gosh, why did my mind just blank out with this one? Okay. I am actually not sure what this one is in this moment here. Now, if there was only a place that would take you on as an apprentice, I'm sure there will be. Because I really find it hard to believe that there would be no one. Yeah, let's check in the book just to see here. Okay, it's not disqualifying the positive. We know for sure that it's not. Oh, okay. I didn't realize there was a journal part as well. That's pretty cool. Okay. Okay, I think that one's quite obviously a should statement there because there's literally should in it. So let's try this one.
Oh yeah, that's an easy one. That's a should statement right there. But you're not insecure enough to be an actor anyway.
Oh my insecure. Oh.
Excellent, Sam. Would you like another exercise?
Yes, please. No, Tiffy. You're not insecure enough to be a VTuber.
If I cannot consume high-quality blood, I might as well drink blood from Florida.
Ooh, damn. Damn, Andy. Well, let me guess. You had some blood from Florida, man, and that was it for you? Okay. I think that's gonna be Nosferatu thinking. Because it's very literally black and white. It's like, if I can't have this, then I might as well do that. Yeah, I think that's what that one's gonna be.
That's Nosferatu thinking, ain't it?
Correct, Samuel. That being said, I am sure there is still decent blood to drink.
Oh, nice save. Nice save, Andy. You didn't want to make the Floridians mad, did you? The critical point is, if I can't have X, then Y. Yeah,
Would you
basically.
like another exercise?
Yes, please.
I am an antediluvian old fart.
That be labeling right
Well, that
there.
sounds like labeling to me. You ain't just an old
Nice
fart.
shooting.
Are you actually
I
older
just
than the
unlocked
flood,
that.
Do I look that old?
Do I look that old? No, sir. You look very sexy. You have that nice graying beard. That nice wisdom.
though? Oh, not at all. I was just...
I am joking, Sam. Don't worry. The myth of the flood was at least 1,000 years before I was born.
The myth of the flood was at least 1,000 years before he was born. This, again, is what I mean by having those crunchy details about somebody that long lived. This is what I like. And this, in my mind, if you're going to play a VTuber who's some 1,000 years old, this is the kind of roleplay you better be prepared to do. If you want it to come across as, like, somewhat realistic, right?
Would you like another exercise?
Yes!
With my terrifying powers, I know I shall never be destroyed.
I think that's a control fallacy. Yeah, that's a control fallacy, because you don't know. Even with all your power, you might very well be destroyed.
I think that's a control fallacy. Unless you know something I don't.
You'd have to be old enough to sprout stuff to make religious scholars turn... Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, there's a depth of time that you have to... In my opinion, because I'm a freaking book nerd, I'm a book fiend and a story fiend for a reason. If you're gonna roleplay a character that's hundreds or thousands of years old, you should, for the sake of your roleplay, it would be nice if you were, like, more able to bring in some of these details. Otherwise, why have the big number except for just funny ha-has? I don't know.
That's correct, Samuel. Though my powers are indeed phenomenal, the universe holds mysteries and dangers I cannot fathom. Would you like another exercise?
Yeah, why not? We can do a couple more.
I may hold vast knowledge, but acquiring it was inevitable thanks to my immortality.
That is high noon thinking. That is like yeah, I think that's also basically saying, oh, it was inevitable. Okay. That sounds like a control fallacy again, maybe. Let's go for this. Oh, no, that's
Is
not.
what I am saying fair to myself?
No, oh! No, I just figured it out. He's disqualifying his own effort. Not this one, but the vampire role players, I would like them to play to this level of time depth to sell their age. Otherwise, to me, it's just haha funny big number. He's disqualifying the positive. That was a tricky one. Because he's disqualifying his own effort to learn knowledge. Because someone can be alive forever and a day, and they could choose not to learn something.
I may hold vast knowledge, but acquiring it...
I know that one. That's disqualifying the positive for sure.
That one was a tricky
I knew
one.
you would catch that one.
Eventually, I got it. I didn't quite get it the first time. I love Napoleon Dynamite. Like, I'm gonna completely nerd out here, but I watched that movie so much as a teenager. Collie, please don't. Please don't. For a funny number. No.
Would you like another exercise?
Sure, let's do.
I'm lazy and useless because I slept the night away in my coffin.
Well, that's just labeling, Chief. Ain't nothing wrong with having a sleep in once in a while.
Of course, you need more rest, you know? I'm having to learn that the hard way. I can't just keep going and going and going. See, empty fronts at that point, right? So, that's why I said to some people in the community, if you want to have that large of an age, that's fine, but flesh out your character some more. Oh, you're talking about that Napoleon. Okay.
Well done, Samuel. Would you like another exercise? I got blood all over me the last time I drank. I am always so messy.
Well, that sounds like Nosferatu thinking to me. Everyone has a messy feed from time to time.
Time for that epic rap battle, yes. But I was gonna show you all that comic though. I was gonna do that first. And I probably am gonna stop some part of my stream before we look at that clip, because, yeah, YouTube is probably gonna have a conniption fit.
That's absolutely right. The dry cleaning bill is punishment enough without the self-judgment.
Dry cleaning bill without the self-judgment. Yeah, there you go. Self-judgment is like extra pain and suffering that you're putting on yourself for really no reason. It's not gonna make you want to do any better for yourself. It's just gonna beat yourself down.
Would you like another exercise?
Yeah, let's do like one or two more.
I should speak at least 300 languages, including Java. I do live forever.
I should speak 300 languages, including Java. That's great.
Well, that's one of them should statements, ain't it? Nobody's making you learn Java.
Thank goodness for that. Would you like another exercise?
Okay, one more, and then we'll...
Whenever I meet a crypto vampire, I cannot control myself. I must destroy them.
Well, that
Control
sounds like a
fallacy.
Control fallacy to me. I'm sure you don't have to kill crypto vampires.
This game is so good.
They are dead inside anyway.
They are dead inside anyway. Nice. Oh my god. Okay.
Like another exercise?
I think we're good, right? Chat. I think we're good.
I think I'm good.
All right, Samuel. You must be hungry now. I suggest you get a liter inside.
Oh no, I already said no more. Damn. Ah, crap.
How much is a liter?
Just get enough to drink, Samuel. We will not be able to work if you are hungry or tired.
That's true too.
Now, please excuse me. I do have a date with
Ew.
Crimson. I suspect I shall not return until nearly morning.
Date with Crimson. Nice.
Oh, yeah, of course. I hope you have a nice night out, Mr. Andy.
You as well, Samuel. Rest in peace.
Oh, very nice. Only a vampire could say that and have it not be threatening. All right.
Ah, Samuel, glad to see you are awake. Your first client is on his way.
All right, my little monsters. Oh my goddess, I haven't saved this the whole time. Oh man, you mean I could have saved during the... Oh. Okay. Well, I cannot believe I did not even think to save my game this whole time. But anyway, I think we will exit for now. And call it good. My goodness, I cannot believe I got through so much in the game and I was like, didn't even think about saving it. Yeah, it was really fun. To do all that, and now I'm going to... Okay, why did I switch over that way? I can just, because I need to show my comic over here anyway, so... Never mind. I don't know where my brain was going with that. And there's me. Hi, everybody. Okay. Oh, no. It's because the game capture is still active. Wait, this game is actually called... Yes, it's actually called Vampire Therapist. Okay. Comic. Oh, yeah, and I need to put some, I'd like to put, no, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to put some music on in the background so it's not quiet. Okay, we'll just put that on so we have something, and then I will get my comic to show you all before we end stream. Alright. I am gonna go ahead and get myself some headbands because I heard that, but I was too busy getting stuff together to flick it on at that moment. Where's my headpads? There they are. Okay. Okay, sorry that this is going to be a little bit small. But this first one says... one day after months of work and stress, and I'm looking into my Scrabble and it says, a vacation, huh? Is what I'm thinking. Somewhere quiet. This gothic castle looks like it has an opening. So then in the next panel, I pick up a book. Swoosh. Let's book this, literally. So I transfer over there, and the castle, lightning strike, and a wolf howling in the background. And I'm thinking to myself, or saying rather, the storm, the scenery, it's perfect. This place is amazing, and it's all sparkling on the inside. And then let's pull up the second one. And so then I am looking around. Let me pull up the bigger version that I can actually read. And it says, she floated through the castle halls, peeking into several grand bedrooms with luxurious furnishings. And so I'm looking around and I'm like, what is that creaking noise? And then it says, I can sleep in something like this at home. I want something more exotic. And then down here, ta-da, we finally found a room in it with a coffin of all things. And I'm just a goober and I'm like, this is more like it. I've always wanted to try sleeping in one of these as I click the coffin open. And then, so I go stuff myself in it. And I'm like, finally, comfortable enough to sleep a century. And so I'm all nice and tucked in there. And then, dun dun dun, I wake up. That owl is on point. Yes. The tail doesn't, no, my tail is too thick. It doesn't easily fit in a small box. But anyway, here's this one. I'll read the bigger version I have on hand. So it says, an unknown amount of time later, I slept great. I slept like the dead. And of course I'm waking up kind of being like, oh my gosh, how much time went by. And then I look down and I see my clothes have changed into the vampire gown. And it says, what is it with me and having my clothing change under mysterious paranormal circumstances? This is the third or fourth time. And that crown, where did that come from? What? This isn't my usual look at all. And of course I have the mirror floating over. And I'm looking at it and I'm just like, wow, so...
Hello, beautiful.
So I'm a vampire now. After all this, and I just wanted to take a nap. Yes, I have a reflection because it's one of those D&D mirrors that will show you a reflection that's a little bit different version of you. And it's probably in a vampire's castle anyway, so they would want to see their reflection, wouldn't they? So they would have a mirror that they could actually use. You know, quality of life things. Undead accessibility, if you will. And so now I'm really checking out my vampirism. I love my artist so much. She does such a great job. So I'm really looking at the fangs, and I'm like, okay, these are definitely sharper than usual. If that's the case, I think I'm the first tiefling this has ever happened to. Turned into a vampire hybrid without being bitten. So then I summon my disc with a swoosh. Even in immortality, I'm a weirdo. with that withering umu face. I love it so much. And to think I just wanted a simple vacation is what I think as I'm just looking off into the distance. Like, why me? There, you can see it a bit better. Yeah, my comic artist makes me look amazing. Ooh, I love it. So I might actually post this on my Substack where I posted my other comic and then share it on social media so other goobers can read it. But yeah, I wanted to show you little monsters first since you all were nice enough to hang out with me while we were doing the Vampire Therapist. But yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Natural 20! No!
Alright, we can go like that for a little while. Definitely would love more. I'm planning to get another comic made this month or next month. Depending on how my artist is doing with her own schooling and things. But yeah, that was super fun. I hope everyone had a good time. I certainly did. I had a wonderful time. And now I think we should choose someone to raid. I want to do somebody different than the people we've raided the last couple of times. We have a lot of friendos on right now, which means we have a lot to choose from. I think I want to raid my friend Prince VTube. I have not seen them in a long time. They are doing something called the in-between, like in as in, like where you stay overnight. There is also Eldridge Grandpa and Wolfie, one of my friends in streaming and in real life, is also streaming too. I don't know who I want to raid now. There are so many people. I rarely see Wolfie on. I rarely see Prince either, but I'm gonna leave it up to you little monsters who we should raid, because I am not sure who to raid. I'm curious about the first one. Okay, so you want to visit Prince, who's playing in between. Here, I'll try to copy. That's them. I like that raid message. Very fitting. Very fitting. It's still messed up on the command though. I have to fix that. Maybe not put in so many emotes. Alright, my dears. Alright, my little monsters. I will see you all later. We will stream again tomorrow. And we are going to be picking up more of this game because I'm low-key addicted to it. And of course, as a therapist in training, I'm really eager to see what more they do. So with that, everyone, please take care of yourselves. Stay hydrated.
Is brought to you by Apple Card. Earning daily
I hate this so much.
Use Apple Card.
Take care, everyone. And I will see you all tomorrow. Take care. Stay well hydrated. Be good to each other. Take your medication as prescribed, and I will see you all very soon. Good night, my dears. You're welcome. You're welcome. Good night, dears.